Hello, Hornbill. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Sunset Safari. This is the pre-show, though. The pre-show? One of them. And, well, we're hoping to find all sorts of wonderful things, except I've just discovered that my brakes aren't working very well. Perhaps I have sprung a leak. We shall investigate. Well, we'll have a look at that a little bit later. Brakes are not important. Who needs brakes? Hey, Craig? Craig's very excited about this now because it means that I'm probably going to ramp over some of the little bumps in the road. He's going to be looking forward to that, I'm sure. Now, of course, what are we going to find today? Who is walking? I believe that Shadow and Cub was around this morning, so I think Tristan is going to go and try and follow up on them. Oh, Hyena. That's what it was a hyena track and an impala track all in one go. It was very confusing. I don't know what we're going to see today. That's very, 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 very windy. As you may have seen if you have been watching the dam cam for most of the day. It's not particularly pleasant, but it's also quite hot. So the breeze is definitely welcomed this afternoon. And so perhaps we'll be checking the mulwati. We're going to be looking for elephants, I think, in the drainage lines. I think if we head towards the various drainage systems and the big dams, we might get lucky. And, ooh, my goodness. You can use my ponytail today to tell which direction the wind is coming from, and also how windy it is in case you're sick of looking at the trees or the grass blowing about. You can just use that. Or if my hat flies off of the top of my head, that'll probably also give you a good idea. Look at this tree. Look how it's dancing. Maybe that's what we're going to do today. We're going to watch vegetation blow in the wind. It's so windy out here. And we're actually sitting in a semi-sheltered spot too. My goodness, I can't imagine how it would be gusting on quarantine. I'm going to keep away from quarantine. Hopefully it drops a little bit later. It's actually been windy for most of the day, so theoretically, well, I'm hoping the wind should die down. We don't normally have entire windy days. It'll be windy in the morning or the afternoon. Either or, but not both, unless we're going to have the exception, of course, and it's going to be just windy the whole day. Well, I can imagine a lot of the trees would have lost their leaves today too, and all of last night. They must be feeling quite bare. Perhaps we can check the jackalberry. Maybe there'll be some jackalberry fruits that would have blown off of the tree onto the floor. That could be a good idea, because we've been wanting to, of course, find some jackalberries to have a look at. But that will be a little bit later. We've still got quite a way to go before we get anywhere near that big jackalberry tree. You managing there, Craig? Something happened. Just checking. Craig looked like he had a spanner in his hand and he was tightening something on the camera. Just making sure I don't need to stop. I think we should go straight to Twin Dams. Not Twin Dams, to Treehouse Dam. Let's go and have a look there first, and then we'll check Twin Dams, and then we'll work our way up the Mulwati. That's going to be our plan. Right after I finish that sneeze. Excuse me. Goodness. It's going to be one of those again. Right, I'm going to say goodbye, because Alice has told me to say goodbye, but it's not goodbye for too long. We'll see you shortly.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our sunset safari on this beautiful winter's afternoon. Now, I do apologize if you did not hear me just now. We seem to have had a little problem with our mic, but it seems to be fixed, and hopefully you can hear me loud and clear now. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Sebastian, and we are going to be out on the search for leopards, because it seems like this morning, while we were all having a little lie-in, the leopards were out and about. I believe Shadow and Cub was seen this morning, Mvula was seen, and there was a sighting of Shongile. So we're going to try and see if we can't find one of those 4 lovely leopards. And so hopefully we will. Remember, it is live, it is interactive, which means hashtag safariLIVE on the tweet. And you can then get hold of us and send us your well wishes, your questions, or anything else that you would like to do. Now, I found the tracks already for Shongile just behind me. She's just crossed north into this area, heading up towards Galago Pan side. So I want to just have a little look around. There's lots of deep gullies here, lots of drainage lines and guarri thickets. The perfect place for a leopard to have found a place to nap in this bright sunshine. It is actually quite warm today. Other than if the wind wasn't blowing, we would be sweating, I think, because the sun feels like it's quite warm, but it definitely, the wind is just keeping things a little bit cooler. So it is nice weather, and hopefully that means that little Shongile has found somewhere to lie down and rest and to take it easy. So I'm just really going very slowly because I want to check on the edges of the road here to see if maybe she didn't come further north. The last track I had was of her was directly south of where I am now. So hopefully we can find her here. Hopefully she hasn't gone too far. I believe it was Ali who found her on the way out this morning, and she managed to see her coming north hunting squirrels. So I'm going to try and see if she maybe was successful in her endeavors. Now, while I look around and try and search and see what's happening, let's go across to Miss McCurdy so she can say hello to all of you. I'm sure she's dying to say hello after keeping quiet for the morning. Typically means that she will have a lot to say in the afternoon.
I feel as though it is so windy, I'm going to have to shout so that you can hear me, but we're looking at a beautiful Waterbuck. We are at Treehouse Dam. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Craig, and as Tristan has already told you, this is a live and interactive safari, so remember to hashtag safariLIVE with all of your questions. Now, it is not very pleasant at all out here today. We actually have to be quite careful when the wind is strong like this for trees against the road, because they can quite easily blow over, and the wind is almost strong enough that if we're not careful, we could have a branch or two land on the car. I've actually been on a safari once where a tree has blown right in front of my vehicle, and I also know somebody who's had a tree blow over and across and land on the hood of their car. Now, this Waterbuck that we're looking at, unfortunately, is not the happiest today, and that's because, as most of you know, the animals don't enjoy the wind very much. So he's just sort of trying to find a nice sheltered spot. And I think he's actually done a very good job here. Waterbuck, as their name suggests, are water-dependent animals, and they also often use water to try and escape predators. So I think we know that there's no crocodiles in this dam. We haven't seen them, and I've had a scan. There's just a couple of terrapins around. So the way that he's put himself between water and a semi-open area that's also down in a dip, so it's slightly sheltered, means that he really only has to look the direction that he's looking now. You see that? He's just got to keep his eyes open there, and if anything, nothing's going to cross the water to get to him. Well, not in this particular area. And if he does feel as though he needs to run away, he could quite easily dash through Treehouse Dam. I think it's quite clever, actually. But he's very attentive. I can't imagine he's having a great day. He must be quite stressed at the moment, quite panicked, not being able to hear anything that's going on. I mean, I could have a lion roar a kilometer away from me, and I don't know if I was upwind from that roar, I probably wouldn't even hear it. It's gusting that much today. Actually, it would be quite interesting to find out how much the wind is gusting today. Maybe Alice, can you ask maybe Chantal? Oh, Chantal's back as well, and Innocentia. Welcome, ladies. Welcome back. It's good to have you home. They've just come back from their holiday. But maybe we can put Chantal straight to work this afternoon. Laurie, you've said that you've suggested flying kites. Remember, I said I was going to try and make a kite. Oh my goodness. I don't actually have the equipment with me, but we'll see how it goes. If we find that it's looking a little bit quiet today, maybe we can head back to camp, and we can try, and I'll get a couple of things very quickly. It won't take me long, and we can try and make a kite today. that could be quite cool, actually. How much fun would that be? So, yeah, so as I was saying, if Chantal wouldn't mind trying to find out how much the wind is gusting, I might be able to find it on my mobile device if I check my weather app. Maybe it will tell me. I'm actually not sure. I never usually check what the weather is doing in winter, because typically we should just have, as we normally say, clear blue skies, not a breath of wind, normally beautiful, chilly in the mornings, but warm enough to put shorts and a t-shirt on during the middle of the day. But that hasn't really been the case for the past couple of days. Obviously, we're still in shorts and shirts, so it's not cold, but you definitely do have to put a jersey on in the afternoon quite early. And I think if this wind is going to continue howling like this, we might have to put a jersey on sooner than we'd like. And I might have to do my hat up a little bit tighter too. Craig, I wonder what we're actually going to find today. Just check here. See, I didn't drive, so now I'm making sure that I check my usual spots where we normally look for tracks. Is that all? No, you see, I don't agree with that. So, I can't, really? Is it 5 meters or 5 miles? Meters? That per second? Oh, it is miles. Okay, so apparently it's 5 miles per hour, the wind. So what's that? That's okay. I thought it was maybe gusting a little bit more. I'm pretty sure the gusting speeds will be in excess of 40 kilometers quite easily. It's serious wind. Look at this bird. Bavokile, you're wondering if the wind helps with hunting for predators. Craig, the lilac-breasted roller up on top of the dead tree. That one's easier. I won't make you dive for birds in the bushes today. So you can see that this lilac-breasted roller is actually struggling. So yes, it is. I'm getting so distracted now with the birds and watching it almost fall off its perch. But wind most certainly helps predators. We might get lucky. Maybe the leopards and the lions would utilize this weather, even though the books say that the big cats typically don't like to hunt during the day. They prefer to hunt in the evenings when it's cooler. Hogwash. They do it all the time, especially the leopards. We see it so often, and last year we saw it so often with the lions taking down buffalo on the hottest of hot days. So absolutely. It's not to say that we're not going to see any cats. They could just still be around. We just need to figure out where they've been moving. But what we're going to do now is we're going to head towards Twin Dams. We'll have a look around there. Then we'll enter the Mulwati, where it'll be nice and sheltered, and hopefully find some things. Maybe Nyala, maybe elephants, bushbuck, birds. But I'll send you across to Tristan, and he is still on the hunt for Shongile.
Well, we are indeed. I just came to check Gallego Pan very nicely to see if there wasn't any tracks for her there, but I can't find anything, and I can't find anything crossing north over Gallego Pan Road. So I'm going to try and quickly shoot back to where I had the last tracks. Hopefully she just went off the road and decided to lie down somewhere there, and decided that there was a bit of shade under some guarri trees, because there's quite a few guarris, and then has now sort of rested in that area. That's what I'm going to hope for, and hopefully she'll be a little bit more active than what we saw from Tundi yesterday, because Tundi was fast asleep when we left her, and I was talking to the guys that stayed in the sighting. They stayed there for a further hour, and she did not move the entire time. So by 7 o'clock she was still sitting in the exact same position, still lying down sleeping, which is quite unusual. So I think Tundi was obviously very tired. She must have been all over the place in the last few days and needed a time out and a Friday afternoon in bed. I'm pretty sure some people from safariLIVE would have preferred to have done that than get up to late evenings like they did last night. Lorena, you would say you so love to see Shongile. Well, I would love to see her too, so hopefully we will find her. It is difficult where we are because it's a quite dense, thick area. It's not easy for tracking and looking for cats. There's a sort of gully system that runs down towards Gallego Lodge, and if she's in there, the chances of being able to get there without being on foot and trying to track is going to be very difficult. So I'm hoping that she's just lying under a bush somewhere close by and I'll be able to find her fairly quickly. But we know with Shongile is that she moves around a lot. She's not a leopard that sits stationary for long periods of time. She generally is up and moving, and when Ali spotted her this morning, the tracks, well, she was moving around quite quickly, so she was hunting and chasing and going after things, which is generally an indication that she was probably carried that on for a while longer. I don't think she would have slowed down too quickly unless she was successful. So now I'm just quickly checking through this block. There's a big prominent game path heading straight to where her tracks were, so I'm trying to just follow up in this area. But there are some nyala here, and they seem fairly relaxed. They're not really making too much noise. They're sitting in the shade. So there's a nice beautiful male nyala, and you can see the coloration is perfect for a shady area. These nyala really do blend in very well when it comes to shady sections. You'll find that the male in particular, that darker color goes into the sort of shade, and then they disappear with the sort of spots and whites, and then the light legs that match the grass. Very, very perfect camouflage. There is a female around, but you can see they're not worried at all. They're busy ruminating, which means that they've been sitting here for quite a while. They're regurgitating food that they would have found during the course of today, and I doubt that they have seen a leopard anytime soon, because even us driving in here would have normally caused them to get quite sort of nervy and to be looking and checking to see maybe this leopard was somewhere in this section, and that's why they would then kind of perk up if we came in. But you can see they're not even looking really at us. Their ears are out every now and then, and well, they're still chewing, which means that it's an animal that is at perfect rest. So if Shongile did come this way, she either came here a long time ago, or she's lying down sleeping further south of us, and these nyala have no idea that there is a leopard in this area. The wind currently is coming from our north, kind of southwards, and so it's the perfect wind to be blowing if she is on the southern side of them, because they won't pick her up from her scent either. But let's just carry on going forward a little bit, following this big prominent game path. There's, like I say, lots of nice shady areas, exactly like what the nyala are doing. Shongile could be doing the exact same thing, so I'm hoping that she is here somewhere. Alright, Seb, you've got to get your leopard eyes out.
Yep.
The other thing with Shongile is she's so little that she just blends in incredibly well. The other day when we spotted Mvula, we didn't actually see her until the last second, so she's a smallish little female, and that's why she can blend as well as she does. Last free dog, you say Shongile was so cute the other day with Mvula and how she was being aggressive towards him and standing up for herself. Well, it was quite cute, wasn't it? And I suppose more than cute, it was great to see, because it's an encouraging sign as to whether or not she's going to be able to hold her own going forward. If she can stand up to a big male like that and sort of make a noise and show her teeth and show that she's not scared of going after him, then you're going to find a situation that she's probably going to do just fine in life. And maybe she's inherited some of her mom's genes, in that she's going to have that a little aggressive streak that will stand her in good stead in terms of trying to sort of keep other leopards at bay and forge a territory of her own. There's lots of little hidey holes for leopard here, so it's very possible that she could be here. I'm looking as we go. There's these little pathways, so you can see in front of me there's a pathway that just runs through the bush slightly over here, and those pathways, when you're tracking leopard or when you're looking for leopard, are the perfect places to check. So if we were on foot, we would check all of these and try and see if we can't find her track coming from there, and that's where she would have come from, just straight south of us, maybe slightly more to the west than where we are now, but we'll just have a look in case she kind of turned and carried on this way. Any tracks there? No tracks that I can see. I wonder if she's not sitting at James's tent. That would make James very happy if we went there and Shongile was on top of the tent somewhere, or sitting under the awning of the tent. Seems like the perfect place for a leopard just to take a nap would be where we are now. Like I say, there's a little drainage sort of gully that's running here. There's lots of shady areas and bushes that would be great for her to have found a place to nap. It is warm though, so I don't know if... Oof, we're not going to get through here. Now I've got to work out where we're going to go, because I don't think we're going to be able to get down here. Let's have a look. Nope, most definitely not. So we're going to have to try and turn around. I think we might be able to slide through here, Seb. We're going to have to just watch out. Oh well, 94. Hyena and Shongile, both of them are not old enough to breed yet. They, are not even 2 years old yet. And so we know with Karula, she had her first litter when she was just over 2 years old. And with males, most of them are only going to breed when they are normally around 4 or 5 years old. So it's going to be a long time for poor little Hyena. Shongile will already be able to breed a little bit earlier than that, but Hyena's got a long way to go before he's able to start getting into the breeding race and trying to start actually producing cubs. David, this is an interesting one, and I'm not sure I actually know the answer to that. You're asking me if... I think I've just got her tracks here. I'm just trying to see. It's so difficult in the substrate, but it looks like she went through this way. But David, her growing up with Hyena, maybe it has helped with her being able to deal with male leopards. The thing is that even though she might be a little female that's strong enough to deal with a male leopard, of Hyena's age, you must remember Anderson and Tingana and Mvula, they are 3 times the size of what Hyena was when Shongile was spending a lot of time with Hyena. So that's a very, very big weight difference. And so she might have been able to stand her ground with Hyena, but I doubt very much that she's going to be able to stand her ground with one of those big boys should they decide to get upset. Now I want to show you her tracks just so that you can see where she came from. They're just here in front, Seb. I don't know if you're going to be able to see them. So somewhere along there we should be able to pick them up. There we go. There's a track over there. So tiny little footprint of Shongile, and you can see there from today, not too much soil on top. It's been a very breezy day and windy day, which means if it had been sort of late yesterday or last night, we would have had quite a bit of leaflets on top and soil on top, which you can see that there isn't too much. So those are her little feet, and then she just turns up slightly to the west of us. So we were a little bit too far east. Now I'm gonna have to go back to the west and try and see if I can't find those tracks again somewhere this side. Now little Shongile, it would be nice of you if you came out for us. No, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. Okay, so tracks still go here. Maybe somewhere in this area is where we're going to find her. So she went up there and then into this thicket on my right hand side. So I'm going to try and just check in these guari thickets just here, see if I can't see anything. Oh, there's a beautiful bird there. You see just in this buffalo thorn here, Seb? On the bottom side of the buffalo thorn on the left, so just over there somewhere, there should be a bush shrike hiding, an orange-breasted bush shrike. Look for down a little bit. There, straight in. Where are you now? A little bit to the left, a little bit up a bit. There it is. So just in the background there, Seb. You can just see it. So an orange-breasted bush shrike. Yeah. There we go. So that is a beautiful bird, isn't it? Look at that burnt orange on the chest that gives it its name, and then that grey head and the yellow with the greeny olive wings. And these birds are some of our most colourful birds that we see in this area. They are very pretty, and you'll find them a lot in this kind of scrub. They like to get underneath into these thicker trees, and that's where they can camouflage very well. And it's got such a beautiful call that it basically says coffee, tea or me. That's its call. So I will try and find it for you shortly. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to try and find her, well, the call for this orange-breasted bush shrike. As well as try and look for Shongile. We're multitasking this afternoon. That's what we're trying to do, and it's proving to be quite difficult at this stage. But let's see. So no, nothing here that I can see. Right, let me find the orange-breasted bush right quickly while we're here. There it is. Okay, so... No, man, come on. Why is it doing this now? Oh, man. This is what happens when technology fails you. You can't... There we go. Okay, so we've got it now. So this is its call. Which, to be honest, doesn't really sound like coffee, tea or me, but that's what they tell me, so you just go with it. And in real life, it's actually a lot more sort of distinct and not as fast-paced as that. They've got quite a variable call, so sometimes you'll hear it quite quick like that, and other times it'll be a little bit slower, and you'll get the actual coffee, tea or me through that. Now, let's see. Shongi, where are you? Now, it sounds like Miss McCurdy, as you may have noticed since you've been with me for most of the afternoon so far, has been fighting with gremlins as best she can, and it seems like she's getting onto the winning front now. So let's go across to her and see where she's been and what she's been doing.
Yes, it seems as though the Mulwati gremlins, because we've got different types of gremlin species throughout the whole of Africa. In fact, they even invade Kenya sometimes, but we've left them. And what we've done is we've just stopped over here at this beautiful tree. Isn't it quite lovely? Now I'm just trying to actually work out if it is a knobthorn or if it is a blackthorn, because a blackthorn and a knobthorn look almost identical, same types of pods, same leaf structure. One of the key things, though, is that, of course, a knobthorn actually has knobs on it. So I don't think it is a knobthorn. I think it is a blackthorn, which is quite cool. Now, they typically start to drop their pods around a similar time of the year, and it's very important, pods, for the various animals. I'll never forget, and I always speak about this, how the animals rely on the pods from the anna trees, Faidherbia albidea, I think that Latin name is for the anna trees, and they literally survive off of them because there's very little grass. Just as what happens in our winters, they lose all of the grazing, and they have to feed along the rivers, they have to come down to the rivers to drink every single day. There's not really any big dams like what we've got here. So pods for many different animals, for hippos, for monkeys, for birds, even some of the antelope species will pick up them. But like I said in the pre-show, my goodness, I think a lot of trees are going to be dropping leaves, pods, all sorts of things. It's a pity that there aren't any on the ground that we could have had a closer look at. Let me see if I can find one. It seems as though all the animals have eaten the pods. There wasn't actually any on the ground at all. Now, Justin, talking about the wind, you've said I could make a kite out of a leaf. I suppose I could. Perhaps we'll try and construct some kind of bush kite then. Maybe we won't go back to camp for materials. I'm just trying to think what's going to be thin enough that we can make a sort of string, a rope, to let the kite go. Because silver cluster leaf, I think, is going to be a little bit on the heavy side, in fact. So we need to find a very, very, very fine piece of bark. You know what would be really great is if we had the sisal, the agave trees. They have very good sort of fibrous bits to it. I can't talk today. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I'm just trying to think actually what I want to say. And that was really good. Because it's so fine, it made great rope. A baobab tree as well. That would be a good one. I'm just trying to think. Out here, we don't really have anything that's, like I said, as fine as that. Oh, here's a knobthorn. I want to show you the difference very quickly. It's a young one, but we'll have a look at it anyway. But Craig, right here next to you, this little thing. Just to show you the difference. You obviously saw the bark is also very similar on the blackthorns, just as it is on the knobthorns, but you can clearly see those little knobs now. So even the young ones get them. This one has unfortunately been dwarfed by what looks like elephants. Maybe Kudu and things were also responsible for keeping it short. It looks like it was snapped off at the top at one point. And elephants are notorious for doing things like this. And then it doesn't help when that tree is now broken and it's at the perfect sort of browsing height for Kudu, impala, and other little antelope species as well. Sorry, we're going to call it a dwarf knobthorn now. What else do we got over here? Birding is going to be exceptionally difficult today. Oh my goodness, an insect. A grasshopper. It flew into the tree. I don't know if we're going to be able to find it now. That's virtually... Let me poke my nose off here. There it went. It's flown into the guarri tree now. I actually saw it move from this little leadwood and fly into the guarri, but that will be virtually impossible. I know it sounds silly that I just got excited about grasshopper, but we really haven't been seeing too many insects, just the occasional fly and mosquito every now and then. Other than that, it's been sort of quite quiet. We even watch the birds are struggling to try and find decent sort of insects to catch and eat. That would have been a good one for a hornbill. It was nice sized grasshopper. Well, Craig, you feeling hungry? Little protein snack, no? If you'd said yes, then I would have put more effort into going back and trying to collect it for you so you could eat it. We're going to have to go do some of those challenges when summer comes around again, and as punishments when we guess and try and guess where the animals are going to be and then are incorrect. I like that game quite a bit, actually. What's that? Nothing? We're heading slowly heading up towards Buffelshoek Dam. I don't know what we're going to find there. Perhaps at some point we might have to pop around and go to Chitwa. Hopefully it'll be sheltered down in the dam. Maybe we'll see something, because at the moment out here it's not looking too promising at all, in fact. I mean, the only bird we've really seen was that lilac-breasted roller that was holding on for dear life. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Well, Alice has just said that there's the wildebeest herders on the dam camp, so perhaps we'll try and head back around towards them. They keep evading me, but I would like to spend some time with them, and on a windy day like today, it might actually be quite fun to watch the wildebeest running around. So, a conversation Craig and I were having a couple of minutes ago when we were driving through the Mulwati, we were talking about fires. And we're saying how today would not be a good day for a fire to come through, because with this wind and with the state of the vegetation at the moment being so dry, what a nightmare. Everything would go up in flames. So I hope that we don't have any fires or anything like that. However, the bird sightings would be great. And the reason why I say that the bird sightings would be so good is just because the birds will often follow fires, because obviously the insects and things are trying to get away, so they fly up and out of the grass through the flames, and you'll see all sorts of birds coming down, diving and catching them, which is actually quite amazing to see. I have seen it a couple of times. I haven't seen it up in the north, but I've definitely seen it down in the south. There were a couple of fires down there. Now, a question from Steph and Jackie, and you're wondering when was the last rain. Well, typically our rain should end in around March, April, really pushing it into April. We don't normally get rain in winter. However, when I was on holiday, Tristan might be able to give a more accurate date as to when we had the last rain, but I remember on my last leave they actually had to put rain roofs on one of the days, which I thought was unbelievable. And we had a couple of spits, a couple of drops falling down on top of our heads the other morning, but that doesn't really count, I'm afraid. But so I think it was, what are we in now, July? I think it was June. The end of June we had a bit of rain. It wasn't very much, but it was still rain. We had very late rains this year, and that's why there's still so much vegetation left in the bush. Normally at this time of the year, the middle of July, everything is much shorter, probably half the length of what the grass is now. But we're going to head towards Buffelshoek Dam. Who knows, we might find some naughty elephants, maybe a hippopotamus who's going to put on a show for us. Otherwise, we'll go back towards Vuyatela Dam. I'm going to send you across to Tristan, who's hoping to find a young lass with spots.
I am indeed. I'm trying to find well, not the youngest lass anymore. There's a younger lass in the form of Shadow's cub, so I'm going to try and see our second youngest lass that we have in this area, the little Shongile. But so far, no further signs that I can find. I think it's going to be quite a struggle, and we might have to wait for a little bit later for it to cool down and hope that she's then moving and walking around. I'm going to go one more time down towards Gallagher Pan side, just check if maybe for some reason missed a track somewhere, but we'll check carefully there. If there's nothing, then I'm going to go around Vertella Camp and then come back this way and see what's happening. I did quickly just pop in at the Hyena Den in the case that was active and I could spend time and listen for alarm calls from there, but there's nobody at home. A little hot still, I think, and I'm sure we will see it active a little bit later. So I think our plan will just be to hang around this area, and eventually we should hopefully have success with either the den or little Shongile, so one of the two of them. Now, in terms of rain, the last rain was on the 8th of July. That was the last time we had rain, and that rain was not very much at all. It was pretty insignificant. It was about 1 millimeter of rain, which is, I don't know if you can really count it as rain. In Hoedspruit there was a little bit more. It was actually very odd, because this time of the year, generally if we get rain, it's a frontal system that comes from the south, so from the Cape area, and the rain is very soft and overcast and drizzly if it does come. But that rain on the 8th of July was a massive thunderstorm, like what you would see, the likes of which you would see in the summer months normally. And so quite strange to have that sort of situation at this time of the year, but it wasn't very much rain at all, and really not enough to kind of wet the dust even. It was something that would have dissipated in half a day. So I'm just going to try and see. Definitely no sign that I can see from the angle that she was walking. She would have popped out right where we are now, and there is 0 tracks coming out of here. Even though she does have small feet that are sometimes difficult to see on a soft road like we have here, we shouldn't miss her tracks at all. And the chances of her crossing straight over and going into the bush is very slim. Generally with a leopard is that they'll go onto the road, walk along it a little bit, and then duck off it. So it's very seldom that you see them just running straight over, unless she was chasing something. But we would have then had the tracks of what she was chasing, as well as her running across the road, and there would have been big groove marks from an antelope species. So I surmise she is somewhere here, but this is what we're dealing with in terms of trying to find her. Is look at that grass. Now, if she's lying down absolutely flat like Tandi was yesterday, there is little to no chance that we are going to spot her unless we are right next to her or right on top of her. And that's why I was doing a little loop through there just to check if she wasn't lying in the guarri thickets. But you can see that that's exactly the kind of place that a leopard would like to lie, and one that's going to make it very, very tough for us to find her. Now, Geeky Beth, you were saying that she has very little paws and tracks. It is true, she does. She's probably got the smallest of our sort of independent females, if you want to call it that, by a long shot at the moment. Tandi and Shadow do have small feet, but not quite Shongile size. Shongile is very little, and then obviously Shadow's cub has got the smallest feet, and even those are starting to grow. Looking at their tracks the other day, and it's amazing how much bigger they are since the first few times we saw them. The first few times they were tiny, they were about that size in sort of roundness. Now they're about sort of that size, so they've almost grown a finger to thumb. That's not very scientific, but we'll use it anyway. Seb, you see any spots?
I'll check that.
Oh, okay. If anyone's going to spot the spots, it's Seb. Seb seems to have a knack for this. We drive around and then he's like, no, I saw something reverse, and then normally there's this cat lying there. So hopefully Seb has got his best eyes out today, and that he will spot little Shongololo for us. If we don't find her, Seb, it's your fault.
Okay.
Okay. Sphinx, you're asking for a giraffe because it's your favorite animal. Well, Sphinx, I shall certainly try my best to find a giraffe today. If I don't have any luck with one spotted creature, we might as well look for the tallest spotted creature. Hopefully that will be a little easier to find than the Shongololo that we are looking for at the moment. And so I will look around. Where we are around sort of Vuurtele camp is not a bad place to look. They often do come down towards the dam at this time of the day for a bit of a drink. So if anybody's been watching the dam cam throughout the day today, maybe you saw a giraffe coming down, or you've seen some sort of signs of giraffe, and then you can let us know on hashtag safariLIVE. Now, still no sign of this little leopard coming out. I'm 100% sure that she's back inside that block that we were driving around in, and she could be in that drainage line. Like I say, maybe she's lying at James's tent. I should go and have a little look at the awning at James's tent. That would be a perfect place for a leopard to sit, because there's this awning that comes out. There'll be nice, perfect shade there, and well, if I was a leopard, I think that's where I would go. A little view of what's going on at the camp, and we know Shongile is a little bit curious, and so she likes to kind of be out and about and looking around, so maybe she's sitting there and watching the ongoings of the camp. So we're going to carry on. We're going to try and see if we're not going to carry on by ourselves. You guys are going to stay with us. You're going to carry on with us now, because I thought we were going to go to Taylor, but apparently Taylor's still gremlin filled and having a tough time of it, so we're not going to go there now. Are these the tracks from yesterday, or are these the tracks from now? Because there are tracks here for what look like Shongile, but they look quite fresh, although there is a beetle of some sort. Oh, how am I going to do this, Seb? We've got a big tree on our left. But you can see them just over my shoulder over here. There are tracks for a little female leopard, which I would imagine is Shongile, so there you can see them in that print. But you see there is a beetle, so this line here is going straight through the middle of that track. So you see there? Right through. So that means that that track was made this morning sometime, because beetles are generally active during the day, so that would have gone through during the day and kind of made that line. Or ants, I think it's actually ants. I lied, it's ants, not beetle. And so the ants have moved through during the day, so it's not from now. I wonder if these aren't the tracks of where she headed to where she was hunting, and then she was messing around in that area. And actually it might be worth going to go back and check very carefully that she didn't go southwards, because she might have run north in and sort of hunted and then come back out and headed south, and I might be wasting my time checking in these areas. So I'll go around and check one more time, but I'm going to carry on my route this way to get round the other side and see if there's maybe no sign of her actually at Vuatela Dam. She might have gone round and down that way, but it's going to be so tough to find her if she's still inside here. We're going to have to wait for some alarm calls, I would imagine. What we need is for her to be lounging in a tree somewhere or on a termite mound. That makes it a little bit easier for us to actually see her, and not in this long white grass. No, nothing there. So, Exquisite Bliss, you want to know how old Shongile is now? She's now 16 months, if I'm right. 16 or 17 months, somewhere there. I'm just trying to work it out in my head, but I think it's 16 or 17. So, they were born in 2016. Beginning of 2016, and so it's now the time now where we are at the moment would be the time that typically you would have seen a female leopard start evicting their cubs. So we would have seen Shongile starting to get kicked out by Karula now anyway. If Karula was still around and was in the area and looking after them, we would have seen this is now the time that she would have said, okay, right, you need to go off on your own and do your own thing. And so it's about right for her to be on her own, but it's going to be a while till she establishes a territory. I'd say probably another 6 months at the least, maybe a year, until she's able to be big enough to actually start finding somewhere for herself. If we take in Shila, for example, and Shila's still moving around on the northern side, Simambili, Elephant Plains, she goes into Ottawa, up into the Manyeleti. She's still not a settled leopard, and in Shila now is approaching almost 3.5, 4, so she's getting quite old, and she still doesn't really have a set territory of her own. So, you know, it's going to take Shongile a little bit of time, and hopefully she'll kind of carve out the territory around the camp that we're seeing now. The problem is that we've seen Tundi has been pushing in here quite a bit. I mean, Tundi was in that sighting with her and Mvula the other day on the northern side of the camp. We've seen Shadow not too far from the camp as well, so she's going to have a little tough time with those two because they are much bigger than what she is, and so hopefully she'll be able to carve out a section in this area and be able to try and see if she can find somewhere to kind of settle. It would be nice if she took the northern side of Djuma and Tundi and Shadow on the southern side, and when Tundi and Shadow pass on, then she can shift southwards again back into the southern parts and keep Djuma as the center of her territory. That would be ideal. So let's hope for that. Oh, sorry, big bump. There we go. You still on board, Seb?
Yep.
You're very quiet in the back there today. You're looking. Ah, okay. Well, so while Seb and I look for spots in the grass, I believe Taylor has fought off gremlins once again. And so let's go across to her and see if she's got any tall tales of her battle and if she had to get the knives out to get rid of them.
No, not even one tall tale, Tristan. Oh, how's that for alliteration? Unfortunately, nothing, not even a bird in sight. So perhaps the gremlins have just stopped attacking us. Well, not just attacking us, sorry, but also attacking the animals this afternoon. Maybe they're the cause of the wind. It's really unpleasant. So we drove all the way now up and down the various drainage lines, and we haven't had not even any tracks. It's quite sort of tough, but it's also not to be expected on a day like today. It's quite normal, and this is the hard thing, is that also the birds, they don't want to sit on the tops of the trees because most of them won't even be able to hold on. So we're just going along Central now. We're going to go back towards Vuyatela Dam. We've still got a way to go though, and hopefully, oh, hello, never mind, we found animals. Good afternoon, Kudu. Does anybody else remember? I don't know why this has just popped up into my head. One of Taylor's many random things that she says all the time. But I just had a flashback to my school days where when you saw teachers, you would all say, "Good morning, Mrs. So-and-so." Craig, do you remember doing that? Or I know, the way that I'd said good afternoon, Kudu. It was like, "Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Kudu." Well, I should say miss for some of them. But just for some of them sitting down, trying to keep out of the wind. That's also another tactic that the animals will use when they're trying to keep out of the horrible breeze. Well, it's not even a breeze. This terrible wind that we've got today. It's a good tactic, getting down nice and low, hiding amongst the grass. And they're also just using this time at the moment to rest, catch up on some much needed, sleep. But they don't typically sleep like you and I will sleep. And some of them are just ruminating at the moment, like this big cow who's standing side on from us. Look at that. Look at a big ball that she's chewing on right now. It almost looks like she's put way too much in her mouth. Lots of saliva as well, you can see. That's wonderful. That's very nice. There we go. She looks like she's almost finished though. So she'll probably chew that, swallow it, and then we'll watch her regurgitate the next piece. Let's see if the next one's coming up. I don't think you see it as well as you see with the giraffe. No, actually you see it even better. That was really cool. Now she's going to carry on. Look at all that saliva though. That's amazing. She's not fazed by us at all. She's not wasting any energy even to turn and look at us today. But her ears are hard at work, as were the Waterbuck's ears that we were looking at earlier. His ears were moving around too. And see how they're all facing different directions too. Also another strategy, an anti-predatory strategy. Not necessarily just for a windy day, but they'll typically stand like this, all facing different areas to make sure that they can keep an eye over everyone's shoulder. They might even take turns, some sitting down, resting, the others standing up, being a little bit more active. But they seem very, very relaxed at the moment. They don't look too frightened. Now I actually heard the sound that she heard. It sounded like a leaf maybe sort of blowing and hitting a branch, but you saw how she very quickly turned her head towards us. Now she's having a good old scratch behind those ears, and off they go again. Very quiet. She's being very careful, making sure she looks all over. But let's carry on. Let's see what else we can go and find. Just trying to think. We won't go down Vulture's Nest just yet. we will keep going towards the wildebeest at Vuyatela Dam. Hopefully they're still around. I'm going to send you back across to Tristan now, who has got another animal doing the same thing that the kudu was.
Well, they are indeed. I think they're also trying to shelter a little bit from the wind, but they're not doing it very well at all. Our male zebra, our stallion, is parked off in the only little shade there is. The rest of his herd is cast out into the sunshine in the background, and he's having to sort of huddle into the shade and is enjoying maybe a bit of breeze that's blowing and keeping him nice and cool. But it's so nice that we can get so close. Generally with the zebras, they're a little bit finicky and they don't actually like us to be too close, but this zebra stallion is very happy with us. He's no more than, I would say, 10 meters from the car and is happy as could be. Maybe it's because it's a bit warm and windy today and taking it easy. I wonder if he had a night out on the town last night and that's why he's a bit slow this afternoon. It's interesting though, because we haven't seen zebra or wildebeest anywhere near the dam or quarantine for the last few days. It seems as though they've been absent, and I wonder if maybe the Djuma Pride doesn't have something to do with that from last night. I wonder if they didn't push these guys from wherever they were spending time over the last few days and try and chase them around that side, and that's why they've ended up back at quarantine. The Djuma Pride, for those of you who are interested and want to know what the updates are with them, they've ended up going northwards back into Manyeleti side, so they just crossed back over pretty much the same way they went yesterday, and that northwestern corner, and quickly over into Manyeleti. So hopefully they'll be back tomorrow. It would be nice if they are. If there's a male in pursuit, I'm pretty sure Amber Eyes will not be so tolerant and hopefully will bring the pride back this way by trying to get away from Mfumo and his attentions. You can see a little red-billed oxpecker having a peck at the tail. I suppose better at the tail than underneath the tail like they sometimes do. Oh, no, be careful, you're going to get kicked shortly. So while they do form a good job, they sometimes can be a serious irritation, an oxpecker, and you can imagine when they go into your eyes and into your ears and up your nose, particularly if they've been pecking around at somebody else's rear end. It's not something you would really want to go up your nostril or your eye or your ear, and so you'll find the zebras and the wildebeest and all the other animals often will chase them away. Now what you see there is very typical from zebra, and one of the few animals that actually stand like this for long periods of time is you'll find that they often are head to tail, and the reason for it is because they keep flies and various other insects that buzz around their head away from one another's head by swishing their tails. So you see each one swishes its tail, and often that then keeps things and movement around the head of the other one and stops flies from landing around their eyes and up their noses and keeps them sort of less irritated. But I can tell you it is blowing an absolute gale, and while I'm sitting here we are being covered in dust, so these poor guys must have had a tough day with all this wind. It's probably the worst part about our winter months is the wind that does come up. Oh, Laura Moore, you say it's so nice to see zebras. I know, it is very nice. We haven't seen too much of the zebras in the last few months, and the ones that we have seen all tended to be a little bit on the shy side. So these guys have been wonderful, and to see them kind of taking it very easy and resting and not moving away from us is very cool. Now you can see the hoof that Seb is showing you, and if we go up a little bit, Seb, look at how that leg moves. You see, so anytime an insect lands on it, there's an automatic reaction to try and chase it off. Now, unfortunately, it's not standing quite right. I wanted to show you a big calloused section on the inside of a zebra's leg, and there it is. I don't know if you just saw it very, very briefly. There was a little black dot as it kicked its leg forward, but that black dot is called a chestnut, and no one's 100% sure exactly how it forms, but they think it's from when zebras lie down. The hoof often rubs on the inside of the leg, then it forms this calloused patch on the inside, and that's where they get it from, and they're one of the few animals that has it. Horses get it, and donkeys, but zebras are the other ones, and it's probably due to the fact that they lie so often. Remember, zebras are an animal that spend a lot of time actually down on the ground. A lot of people don't know that, but zebras will dust bathe a lot and they lie down a lot, and you often find them during the middle parts of the day on the road or any sort of dusty surface, and they're rolling and they're sitting, and particularly the foals, they'll lie down and rest for long periods of time down there. But he is absolutely beautiful. And it's nice with the sort of grass, golden grass in the background, just breezing. You can see his ears are still working very hard as he listens to what's going on. With this wind, it's going to be tough for them. Oh, Are you having a little groom? So let's see now. Maybe we can... Oh, no, he's moved his leg again. It was perfect. It was about to show that chestnut that I was talking about, and then he moved his leg back. Not being cooperative, are you, today? I suppose you are being somewhat cooperative by standing there. I think my favorite part of a zebra is that mane that Seb is showing us there. You can see the colors continue and the striping pattern goes up into the mane, and they get these white and black sort of fur that stands up. And the reason why the fur stands up is because of big fatty layers around those follicles that keeps the hair in a very straight position, and that's why it doesn't flop over like you see in horses. A little bit of snorting every now and then. I think that's because dust must be getting into their noses. It's certainly getting into my face and my eyes where I'm sitting, and it must be the same for them. They get big nostrils that they use to smell with. When the dust blows like this, it must get up there and cause an irritation. They also are very prone to having a fly larvae inside their nasal passages. That's often why you see them twitching their head and bobbing their heads when walking, and so sometimes you'll hear them snorting out. It's the same with wildebeest. They also have the same issue. So Lisa, you're asking if these zebras are pregnant. Well, the one in front of her that we've been showing for a long period was the stallion, so he's definitely not pregnant. That one over there is a little bit young.
Sorry.
No, it's fine, don't worry. That one there is still young, so it's not going to be having a little one in it at all. So it's still not probably of age. But remember with zebras that they do present a much larger rounded tummy than the other animals, and that's because unlike wildebeest or impalas that are ruminants, these guys are not the same. They're hindgut fermenters, which means that they have to have a much bigger stomach area like an elephant or a hippo to be able to store enough food to get the nutrients that they need. So it's like a big vat that they push lots of food in, and that then causes a swelling. And they also have a bacteria that helps break down that grass, and that bacteria causes a lot of gas, so they bloat quite a bit. So none of them that I can see are pregnant at this stage. There might be the one at the far back on the left-hand side. So not those three, that one there. So that's why Seb was trying to show us. That one of all of them is probably the only one that is actually showing sort of any signs. But difficult to see now because the little one is in front. So hopefully they'll break apart and spread, and we'll be able to then see who it is and whether or not she is actually pregnant. You'll find when zebras are fully pregnant and almost at full term, it is amazing how big that stomach gets. There we go, there's a zebra lying down. We were talking about it earlier, and there we go. So they're quite prone to lying down, and that's why that hoof will rub on the inside of the leg quite a lot. But no, I don't know if she is pregnant. It is swollen, maybe early stages of pregnancy. It's maybe a little bit bigger than the rest of them. In fact, actually it is. Now that I look away from the screen, she could be at least pregnant with a foal, but not very close to giving birth, should I say. I think she's still a little bit of a way off. Right. Well, I think we're going to carry on. We're going to leave our guys to have a chilled afternoon. They seem to be super relaxed at this stage, so we're going to leave you guys and try and see if we can't carry on with our endeavors to find Shongile. So while I do that, let's go across to Miss McCurdy, who I believe has got a beautiful scene of herds of animals.
We do, and you're probably looking at the exact beautiful scene we're looking at. If you're watching the dam cam, it's very pretty with a sea of that golden grass, and of course it's littered with animals. Mainly impala and wildebeest, of course, but I'm sure that there's the odd inyala, maybe even a bushbuck lurking in the thicket just behind them against that riverine. That would be a very good spot, of course, to go in. Now they're feeding right down on these sort of grasslands near the dam. Firstly, because it is so sheltered down there. It's a whole lot better than feeding up on Quarantine, or even just up where all the big knob thorns are, just slightly west of the dam. So it's a good spot. And then of course the grass is nice and short there too. The animals often come down and feed in these areas. The zebra are down here, they spend quite a bit of time. The impala, like I said, inyala, bushbuck, they're all coming around. Now Craig, were there some more? What I want to do is I actually want to go up over there because I think we could get a closer view of some of the wildebeest. So let's go around. We'll go towards basically where the nest cam is, at the little pan. We just got to get through this very, very bumpy section first. It would be nice to have a look. Maybe we can even have a look at a wildebeest track. Let's see if we can find one here. There are plenty, but I want to find a really good one. These ones are distorted by the wind. Actually, there's a good one. I found one that we can use. Okay, let me jump out. So we're gonna, I can hear Tristan. Oh, they're the zebra as well. I thought I could hear Tristan, and then I just saw the wagging tails of the zebra. They're just around the corner. I don't think you can see them. Now I have a question for you. We're gonna play a little quiz here. Where's the nice track? Here we go. This one. Let's take a look at this track in here. So this is what I'm talking about. And I would like to know from you, is this the front or the back foot of a wildebeest? This is obviously a wildebeest track over here. So hashtag safariLIVE and let us know what you think, if it is the front or the back foot. And then we'll try and find some more wildebeest tracks and we'll actually go into it a little bit more. I just want to see if there are any good ones around here while I'm out of the car so we can come back. The wind has just blown all the sand into them. We'll find some more. We should find some more, maybe on the road a little bit further. Okay, let me get plugged in, and I heard a wildebeest snorting at me now. Didn't like the fact that I was out the car. Too bad, wildebeest, too bad. And my friends, remember how we had so much fun with the zebras and the wildebeest on foot at one point? It was so great. I wonder where the McCurdy Hurdy is, or how many of the McCurdy Hurdy members are even still alive after the Nkuhumas seem to have enjoyed the taste of them for, well, over the last few weeks, last few months in fact. Let's go and position ourselves nicely and we'll have a look at these wildebeest. Oh, there's even impala. You might even see impala on the nest cam. Hello guys. We'll look at the impala first and then we'll look at the wildebeest. Now look how clever these impala are. Now you're probably thinking, are they looking for water in this muddy section? No, they aren't. It's obviously all dried up. Impala can't dig for water as elephants do, so it won't really help them. But look what's coming out of the ground. Look at all that lovely green vegetation. Now, that is of course a very clever thing. Only these three must be the smartest impala I've seen out of the lot here. They're utilizing obviously quite a bit of moisture still in that clay, and all these little forbs are popping up. Probably weeds, actually more than anything. But sorry, Alice, I can't hear you. Can I have those names? Can I just have the two that said the front foot? All right from Texas. And Yaku, you say that that wildebeest track was the front foot. Okay, you know what I want to do is we'll answer those questions in a moment because I need to find some good tracks, back and front tracks to show you, but I'm not going to be able to get out right now because I'm going to scare all the animals away, and I don't think that that will be too fair. Obviously I got out the car back there and they didn't mind me too much. I didn't realize that the zebra are just around the corner, but they didn't move at all. So we'll get to those tracking questions now. I just need to see if I can find some decent tracks, but let's have a look at the wildebeest so long. We'll have to go back around the corner again and try and find some. Now we're going to try and play spot the bull in this herd. You look like a cow. I'm trying to see, actually none of them look like bulls. And the group up top here, they all look like cows. They've got youngsters with them, so perhaps the bull is with the bulk of the herd down below us. But isn't that just gorgeous? I just always think that wildebeest are so beautiful, as are most of the animals in the golden grass, but typically elephants, rhinos, buffalo, anything that's black or grey, a nice contrasting colour into the golden grass. You can see one has even just taken a seat and decided, well, I'm going to sit down and give my legs a rest, but I'm still going to carry on eating. I'll just eat a ring around myself. And you can see there's lots of bald spots on this area too, and that's not just from the wildebeest grazing. And there are lots of different animals that will be feeding here. The impala, of course, we see Nyala coming out into the open. Same thing with the bushbuck, and then of course the warthogs are also responsible for taking this grass right down to a short level. Then not forget those stripy animals that Tristan had not so long ago. I'm sure that they were here at one point too. But they don't seem too perturbed at all. They're very relaxed with their surroundings. It is a nice open area though, so I reckon it would be quite difficult for something like a lion. There isn't very much grass around. Also, there are lots and lots of different animals about here. Lots of impala, lots of wildebeest, as we of course have been seeing. So I think that they are, well, lucky in the sense. They've chosen wisely. They've chosen a good spot to, of course, feed. Now, Jackie, you're wondering if these wildebeest migrate at all. They're constantly doing mini migrations, but not to the extent and not with the numbers like you've been seeing in Kenya with the rest of the team. It's not necessary for them to do that here. Obviously, when we have a serious drought, then the conditions are really terrible, but there's very little that we can do, and then there's almost no food and no water around for them, and unfortunately there isn't really anywhere to go. Which is not great, and that's when you see those mass migrations up in Kenya. So what they do is the animals, just as the animals all over the rest of Africa follow the rains, these guys do exactly the same thing. So that's why you'll go a few weeks and you won't see any wildebeest at all. You'll just be like, where on earth have they disappeared? And they might just be a couple of kilometers north from here, or perhaps south, down towards the big river systems. We always say that with the elephants typically will start now moving from drainage system to drainage system, trying to find active, rivers, firstly, because it's nice fresh water to drink from, and then lots of lovely, lush vegetation. There's a squirrel alarming up here, but nobody else is paying it any attention, so perhaps it means something like bird of prey or snake that maybe the wildebeest and impala wouldn't necessarily be too worried about. Even though impala lambs are often taken by martial eagles, they wouldn't necessarily alarm like they would for a leopard or a lion or a hyena. They haven't even picked up their heads to listen to what the squirrels are saying. And remember, they can all communicate with each other. So even though to us it might sound like they're speaking completely different languages, they're able to chat to one another. Now I'm going to try and find some good example here. It's such a pity. Maybe might not be able to get out. I'm just trying to see because I don't want to disturb these wildebeest. But maybe if I shelter myself with a car and hide behind this guarri tree, we'll be able to do some tracks. So, sorry Alice, before I jump out, we had, what were the two names that said front foot? All right from Texas, and Yaku, you said front foot, which is 100% correct. That is exactly the track that we saw there. And now I'm going to show you why it was a front foot. So I'm just going to try and creep now because I've got to use this tree for a little bit of protection. So the footprint that we were looking at, I don't think was necessarily an adult. It wasn't particularly big. We're now going to look at tracks that are slightly larger. So keep that in mind though as well, because that was a smaller track. It also could have been from a female. But typically, if you look here, the front foot, just like lions and leopards and hyenas, all their power is in their shoulders. You often see with the wildebeest how they're sloping back to antelope, their backs sort of taper down towards the end, and all that muscle being concentrated in their shoulders. So naturally, their front feet are going to be slightly larger than the back foot. So here's a back foot here. This looks like a wildebeest, a bull. This is quite a large track. And then if you look just here is the back foot. You see that? Not quite as big, and also slightly more narrow as well. But this is from a big wildebeest. Like I said, the one that we saw over there was either a juvenile, maybe even a female. It was quite small, so it might look slightly different. And again, tracks vary also from the different types of substrate that they move around in. So on soft sand like this, a track could look slightly different than something in mud. Or if you have a lot of sand, coarse sand, if animals walking through a riverbed, that track will be completely distorted, and often it's quite difficult to be able to tell what else. There was another track here that I wanted to ask you what you thought it was. Just see if I can find it. I think I may have actually squashed it, which is a pity. No, I didn't. Yeah. Can you see this one, Craig? Is that fine? So look there. I'm gonna draw the outline. I want to know who's left this footprint on the ground. Just going to outline it for you so that you can see it, because it has been disturbed slightly by the wind. I'll even put my hand here just to give you a reference and a scale. You can see it's nowhere near the size of my hand, but it's also not a particularly small track. So hashtag safariLIVE with what you think left that on the ground. And you can use, one thing you must remember about tracking, and we always talk about it, is don't just focus on the one track. Obviously you're not here to get out the car and have a look around to see if you can find any other footprints or dung that could help you in identifying what footprint that is, but just think about what animals you've seen around at the dam. What are the most common ones? And that should help you out. I look forward to hearing some of the answers. So well done to the two of you that got it right. I'm sure there were quite a few of you that managed to guess correctly too. So well done. It's actually surprised that some of these tracks are actually holding, so perhaps they're relatively fresh. Maybe the wildebeest have just walked. I really like this little one. Well, it's not a little one, it's an adult. But the way that it is sitting, oh no, she's getting up. Sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you. You just looked so comfortable. I was actually a little bit jealous that you were sitting there like that. I wish I could join you. Aren't they beautiful animals? Now, John, you're wondering why their front feet larger than their back feet. Well, I did say just a moment ago that they're also known as sloping-backed antelope. So all their power is in their shoulders, like most animals. Typically, the front feet will be larger. So that's really the reason why. Now, one of my favorite species of wildebeest is the black wildebeest, and they're really funny. It's quite funny why they're called black wildebeest. You'd think that these ones shouldn't be called blue gnu. They should be the black wildebeest because of their coloration. I've never seen a blue tinge in a blue wildebeest. That's one of the theories behind it. Also, I've heard that they say that their dung has a blue sheen to it. Never seen that one before. And perhaps you need to use your imagination even more than I'm normally capable of doing. But the black wildebeest are much smaller in size, and their horns point forward, and they've got a white tail, so that makes it very easy to tell the difference. But my favorite part of a black wildebeest is the tuft of hair that is sort of between the eyes and on the front of the face. That's really cool. Now this one's having a dust bath. We often see birds having dust bath, but elephants have dust bath, zebras have dust bath, and so do wildebeest. It's very good to cover yourself in a fine coat of powder, and that of course helps get rid of the parasites. Wonderful. Now apparently there's some answers coming through as to who you thought left those tracks in the sand. I'm just waiting for Alice to tell me what they are. Ooh, all right from Texas, Exquisite Bliss and Zena, you said that you thought that track was an impala track. Unfortunately, you do not get the award. Sphinx, you've said zebra. Unfortunately not. I'll see if I can find a zebra track from you. Sphinx, actually a zebra track looks completely different. If you know what a horse footprint looks like in the ground, it looks fairly similar, one without shoes of course. Let's see if anyone's going to get it right. Now James and Francis from Israel say Inyala. You're definitely using your brains now and listening to what I'm saying. This is actually really, I'm happy about that. It means that sometimes you do listen to the things that I say. So you're starting to think out of the box and you use the animals that we see often around the dam. So unfortunately also Nyala was incorrect, but we have a correct answer from Pre-Dawn. He said Waterbuck. Well done. Very, very heart-shaped track, very similar to the impala, except the size is so much smaller. The impala track is really quite tiny compared to a big Waterbuck track. Now I wanted to show you a zebra footprint, but again I think no, there's a decent one over here. Where's a goodie? They're right. I wonder if I haven't parked too close. Make sure we don't get the sun. I mean, our shadow in the track. So if you look over here, it's slightly distorted again just because it's so windy. But there's one, it's actually, this one is superimposed because there's 2 tracks on it, so it's difficult to say. But here's 1 foot here, and then the other foot comes over it. So quite round. I'm trying to see if I can find a better one. That was a horrible example of a zebra track there. Also, not as fresh. Look how fresh my footprints are. And you can see how nicely they are in the sand. But the zebra tracks, obviously they walked here a little while ago. I can't find a good one for you. But they look just like a horse footprint in the sand. What was that noise? Who's snorting at me? I can't tell who's snorting at me. Impala. Let's go and investigate. I think they're shouting because of me, but it looks like 2 rams maybe having a bit of an argument as well. Yeah, they're, oh wow. Hold on. I'm gonna just pull off over the side here. You've got to be sneaky with impala rams. They can't know that you're watching. These 2 boys are clashing horns, so they snorted at me because I got out the car. I didn't even see them there. But let's see if they're going to butt heads again. Every time I try and watch this while I'm live, I never get a good opportunity to. Aren't those 2 beautiful boys? Don't mind us. You carry on. Oh, they're uncertain. They're snorting at each other too. There we go. Look at all the dust. That's actually very, very pretty. In that lovely sort of light now, and of course all the dust that they're going to kick up. So if they do lock horns, it could be quite dramatic. It would be very nice, and I was hoping that we were going to get this the other day, actually yesterday afternoon, when was it yesterday? Was it the day before, Craig, when we did the pre-show? And we thought that we were live the entire time, but we weren't. We were trying to get 2 impala rams fighting. 2 days ago. My goodness, time flies out here. Not typical. These boys are not going to clash heads. Why? I'm not even surprised. Don't do it behind that tree. Come on. It's a massive open plain, and of course they choose the one tree and the only termite mound to play behind. That's not nice. And I know what happens if we try and reposition. They're going to stop what they're doing and they're going to look at us again. And I'm hoping that they'll start settling down with us being around and start ignoring us, which they would typically will do. If they want to, go to the left, please. Go to the left. A couple of birds also flying around, some starlings, a drongo. Yes, good boys. Some lapwings too. They want to. Everyone seems to be coming in to watch the show now. Perhaps they're placing their bets on the illegal impala fighting. Not that they're doing a very good job at the moment. These look like Senegal lapwings. Was it a Senegal or was it a crowned? I can't even see. No, maybe it's crowned. Maybe it's just the light. No, it is crowned. Had a moment there. Unfortunately, there's quite a bit of glare on the monitor. Sometimes I can't see all the birds when we're so far away. Come on, boys. We're sitting here waiting for the 2 of you to put on a show for us, and you're being quite disappointed. You're the main attraction this afternoon. Step up your game. Or as Kirsten always says, one of the directors, be better. There we go. Good boys. I'm actually going to sit quietly because I want you to hear the sounds of their horns when they clash. Hopefully it's louder than the wind. Now they're equal size, look at that, in terms of muscle and horn size and shape. Both very good looking impala rams. So if they were to have a serious fight, which it doesn't look like it's actually too serious, it would be very impressive. Steph, you said their silhouette with their horns is amazing. They're very striking antelope. You know what, they might not have all the beautiful colors like an Inyala or a Kudu has on their bodies. However, they definitely do make it up with their slick, chic, shiny coats, and of course always a very impressive set of horns. And these, like I said, these are 2 striking males. Stopping to have an itch. Now you see, if this was a serious fight, an itch, you know, anything like this, they wouldn't worry about it at all. They would just continuously keep locking horns. You can see they're taking breaks. They might stop, have a little snack here and there. They wouldn't ever they would not let the flies bother them either. Boys, are you gonna? Nah, they're not. Now they're not playing because we're watching them, of course. Let's see what else we can find. I haven't quite decided where we're going to go just yet. Oh my goodness, not sure just yet where we go. Now this fence over here, in case you're wondering what this fence is, this is just for the owner's house, the landowners of Djuma, Yuri and Pippa. They stay in here, so they put a big electric fence around their house, not just a 3-strand elephant wire like it's around the lodge. Leopards can still get in, and Kudu could jump over that fence quite easily, but it normally is quite good at keeping the rest of the animals out. Tristan has been tracking. He's very good at tracking too. Hopefully he's going to find whatever animal has left those footprints in the sand.
There's more tracks here. There's tracks for Shongile everywhere. It seems like she's had a wonderful time walking around here today. So I wonder where she is. She looked as though Ali actually sent me a video of where exactly she was when she saw her, but it looks as though she was running up and down chasing things, and so the chances of finding her is going to be quite tough because the tracks are just up and down all over the place. So hopefully what's going to happen is she's going to just kind of pop out somewhere as it gets a little bit cooler, or she's going to show herself to another animal, and that's going to shout and make a bit of noise, and that's how we're going to try and find her. I'm just slowly meandering up along Vuyatela axis just to check in case she hasn't come further west, because I haven't really looked this side much, but I see there are tracks all over the place for her running around here, so she must be here somewhere. It's just a matter of finding her, which we shall do, I'm sure. I have a good feeling that we will find her eventually. Patience is rewarded, so, and at least the tracks are not heading towards an area where we can't go. They're right in the center of Djuma, so we have lots of space to work with, which is fantastic. What is this flying here now? Brown snake eagle, by the looks of it. Yes, brown snake eagle. That is flying over there. You can see by those almost whitish colored wings that you could see there was a little bit of sort of translucence about the wings, and then that long big wedge tail that they've got is very indicative of a brown snake eagle, and it's one of the eagles we'll see the most at this time of the year. They hang around all year. You'll find the bateliers, the brown snake eagles, what else hangs around? Marshalls, tawnies. Those are the kind of eagles that we tend to see a lot of at this time of the year. Now, this is quite cool because it ties into what we were seeing just now. So, in front of me, if you look on the road, there's a little pattern that's going across the road in the middle, and that snake eagle, that's exactly what it's looking for. There we go. So that is a track for a snake going across the road at some speed. You can actually see it's pushed up little mountains of sand as it's trying to push across the road. So it's winding its way quickly to cross the road because it knows as it goes across the road, it's very exposed, and that means things like the snake eagle, which is flying up there, if it sees it coming around the road, it's going to fly down and grab it while it's there. So that's why the snake crosses very quickly. As to which snake it could be, difficult to say. That S sort of shape of movement is common amongst most of our snakes. The only snakes that really don't go like that are the puff adder and the python. They tend to have a more linear track that they leave behind because they move walking on their ribs, whereas the other snakes will curl and swirl like that and move across. It's another snake track. So with this warm weather, I wouldn't be surprised if the snakes are actually quite active, moving around, and if there's a cold front coming, they are going to get into sort of areas where they can be away from the low lying. They get up to higher points where they can find thickets, and then they get in there to just to rest and wait for the warmer weather to come back. Now Alice is saying to me tomorrow is snake day, which is good to hear, Alice, so we'll try and find all things snaky tomorrow. Maybe we can even convince Miss McCurdy to wear a snake outfit. She always loves getting into some sort of outfit for whatever animal it is day. She likes doing it. I know as a butterfly, she dressed up like a butterfly, so maybe we'll dress up as slithering serpents tomorrow. I'm not actually sure how we would dress up as a slithering serpent. Maybe we should be like Medusa and have little fake snakes coming off of our heads for the drive. I think that's a good idea. Snake print was pretty fashionable in the 90s, according to Alice. Alice is now giving us the fashion that we need to know. So, well, Alice, do we have snake print? Does anyone have snake print that we can wear? I certainly don't have snake print, and I would doubt that if Alice did have snake print that I would even be remotely fitting in my one arm into it, because Alice is a lot smaller than I am. Oh, there's some nice birds there. So we're going to check with Chantal. She's just got back from leave if she doesn't potentially have some snake print outfits. Now there's a ground scraper thrush sitting there. That's a starling that we've got there. No, that's okay, don't stress. So that's the Birchall starling, and then to the left of that, yep, that one. No, that's a bit of dung. Oh. A little bit further left. A little bit more. There it is. So there's our ground scraper thrush. Very common to see them, as the name suggests, mostly on the ground, running around, trying to find food. And I always like them. They've got these white chests with the spots and then the bars around the eyes. And they're a fairly common bird that you see on quarantine and open clearings like this, disturbed areas. They like to sort of hunt around in here and find what they need. And you'll often see them close to other animals, much like the starlings and the flycatchers and the drongos that will hawk insects as they are disturbed. So you'll see the same thing with the ground scraper thrushes. They do use animals to find food from time to time, and they also know that animals defecate and insects are attracted to that, and they can then go and grab what they need. Typical thrush running pattern, you'll find all the thrushes run when they're on the ground. They don't hop very much, and then that very blunted beak that the thrushes do have. Nice. They're actually normally quite shy birds. You normally kind of see them for 2 seconds and then they fly off. I'm not very trusting of vehicles like the starlings, so really good to actually see them taking it easy. Nice. Well done, Seb. I liked your dung bird. It's a new species. I doubt anyone else has got that on their bird list. The dung bird. Costa, you say you just added dung bird to your list? Well, yes, I would imagine many of us don't have that bird on our list. I'll have to add it to mine too. So thanks, Seb. You've now given everyone a new bird on their list.
Glad I could help.
You're glad you could help? Yeah, well, I'm sure you are. It's always nice when we can add birds to the list. Now, I've got one sneaky hair that is coming out of my cap, so if you see me fiddling around with my cap, it's because one of my hairs has just come out and is flapping around in the breeze and irritating me somewhat, so just trying to tuck that back in and make sure it doesn't get out of control. No one likes an out of control hair in their afternoon safari. Seb, when you had long hair, how was it on safari? Was it tough? Was it a pain? Or was it not so bad?
Once you're on safari, but before, when you wash it.
When you wash it, is that where it's painful? So long hair.
Oh, it takes so much time.
Time and energy.
Yeah.
Too much.
And
Well, I can imagine. And a lot of hair products. Yes, one has to have healthy looking hair and locks when out on safari. No one likes to see dusty, matted hair, so I'd imagine the girls in our camp must have a tough time, and Brent, because I'm not that Brent is a girl before anybody jumps to conclusions, although, you know, sometimes and I'm joking. But I would imagine the girls have a tough time in winter trying to keep their hair clean. And Gendre, yes, Gendre, well, actually Gendre doesn't really matter, because Gendre just kind of has his own regime when it comes to hair and keeping it clean and sorting it out. So Chantal, you're safe. Now Chantal's back from leave. Hello Chantal, I haven't even seen you, so hello, I hope you had a nice leave and that you enjoyed yourself in Cape Town and that you are happy to be back. Ah, she says hello. That's good. I'm glad that Chantal's back. It's always nice when we get people back. So Connor went on leave today, and Innocentia and Chantal came back. So we lost one and gained two today, which means hopefully the two of them will bring a bit of vibe back to the camp. From their leave, I'm sure there'll be lots of stories to be told and lots of nice things to be said, and it's always good to catch up with everyone when they get back from their leaves. Now, we were talking about hair and products on the hair and long hair, and well, there's a member of the Djuma team that has flowing long locks that are gold in colour and must be reflecting the sun's rays this afternoon, and I'm sure Miss McCurdy, wherever she may be, is battling with the dust and the wind, but is waving her hair about like she just doesn't care.
Ah, Tristan, you set yourself up for that one, didn't you? So you could say that. Yes, can you believe that out of the female presenters, I have got the shortest hair? Can you believe that? Ali and Jamie's hair is almost twice the length of mine, and I've got a lot of it too, which is quite crazy. So we always laugh when it's hair washing day in camp, because it takes me, I can't even tell you how long it takes to actually wash my hair. I did it today, and thank goodness for the wind, because it helped me dry it quite quickly as well. Actually, that's the only time I've enjoyed the wind today, was the fact that it helped me get my hair to dry naturally, which is nice. What do we got here? Magpie shrikes and a starling. Maybe they're going to have a fight. Yes, they are going to have a fight. They didn't seem to like each other too much. The starling came right across to the magpie shrike, the one with the long tail, and wanted to chase it away at a point. No, it's now ducked. Ha, says the magpie shrike. I win. I am the king of the castle. Again, another animal you can use to try and tell the direction of the wind this afternoon. Their long tails. Who needs a windsock at an airport? You just got to have some magpie shrikes sitting on a line of some sort, and it would work very, very well. They are lovely, lovely birds, though. Very interesting to watch. My goodness, I don't know if it purposefully flew off of that branch, or if it just got blown off by a gust of wind and then just thought, oh well, we'll just go anywhere. Into the distance we go. That might be something quite funny to do today, is to see if we can get birds flying. It's difficult, of course, to try and find birds that are sitting still in trees, but it is really hilarious to watch, and I particularly enjoy watching the doves when they try and fly during the wind. They sort of come in one way, and then the next minute they're there, then they're there, and then they just have to quickly land or try and land in a tree and escape. Now, I think what we're going to do now, I want to go and check on my num-num tree. Well, it's not my num-num tree, it's nature's num-num tree, but the Carissa bispinosa plant. I want to see if any fruits have ripened yet. It's been actually, I don't know how long it's been since I was last there. Maybe about a week, maybe just shy of a week. So we'll go in and have a look, and if they're hopefully... Oh, family of warthogs, I'm so sorry, warthogs. I almost drove into you. You were so camouflaged sitting on the road like that. But they don't seem to be too bothered that they just had a near-death experience. I wasn't going fast, so don't worry. Even when I put my foot on the brakes, luckily they're working today. I stopped pretty quickly. I was only going about 15 kilometers an hour. Whew. Luckily we were chasing after wild dogs. But they are quick off the mark anyway. They would have got out the way. But how great is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 youngsters and 2 adults. Isn't that nice? Now, the sow that's closest to us, I don't think she's quite as old as the other one that's just moved off and out of frame now. Her tusk size seems to be slightly smaller, and including her body size. But the females don't get massive. The males are the ones that are enormous, almost twice the size of that girl, probably actually 2.5 times the size of her. And then Craig, look, we've just got one bottom on the left. On the other left? Yeah, that's left, Craig. Batman's sleeping today. He had his wings over his head. He was taking a quick nap. But I think that's quite funny. I think it's realized that it's been left behind. Oh, there we go. Yes, everyone else has moved off. We better be careful, because if you do that when there's a leopard nearby stalking in the grass, you, my friend, are going to be the one that gets taken. It obviously heard my wise words. It has now ran off to the distance, back to catch up with the rest of the family. Let's see, maybe we get another view of them here. No, they're hiding away. It's a bit thick. They've gone into the thicket. They're actually heading down towards the drainage line now. I wonder if they have a mound somewhere around here that they're using. I can't imagine that they'd stay out for too long today. I think they'd go back to their house a little bit earlier in their burrow somewhere around here. A couple of big termite mounds that I'm sure would be very, very nice homes for these warthogs. Getting cold quite quickly. They don't like to stay out when it is freezing. Alright, let's carry on. See if I can remember where the plant is. Remember that day when I spent about 20 minutes trying to find the num tree? That was funny, wasn't it? I loved it. I was so happy that day. But now that I know where it is, well, I say this and then watch, I probably won't be able to find it today. It made it a lot easier, but it should just be around the bend next to a mud wallow that Tingana normally likes to drink out of in the summer months when it does have water in it. And we're just going to go slightly to the south of that. It should be around the next quarry tree. Let me see if I'm right. Maybe they're around the next one. A little bit further on. No, it's here. It is here. I'm just going to pull off the road slightly. I've got a little tire track driveway to my plant. Watch your head, Craig. I'm not going to go all the way underneath. I'll just go, and actually I'm going to have to, sorry. Lift that bush willow up. Whee! Right, now I'm going to jump out. My cable keeps coming out of my hat, so I have to have a little clip to try and hold it in. So here it is, but we've got to go, I'm going to disappear right, eating all the spider webs now. Lots of spiders out here. You know what? First thing that I start to notice on this tree is lots of bird droppings, which is not good for me because that obviously means that they've been searching through this plant looking for fruits. Now I can find, there's two, they're not ripe yet, but they've even eaten a lot of the green ones off already. If you have a look here, Craig, can you see from here? That little thing there. That is one of the fruits. Not ripe yet though, it's got to go a beautiful cherry red color. And then you can eat them. They'll be quite bitter now, so I'm going to leave them, and hopefully it will still be around in the next few days, and I'll be able to come and eat it because they're so delicious. There's one or two of them. There's still a couple of green ones, but they are small. I feel like I want to come here and cover this entire tree up with a blanket or something and be completely selfish just so that I can eat the fruit. Because I'm sick of the birds and the monkeys. They won't give me any jackalberries, probably not going to get any worries either. And, well, then the elephants and everything else and the warthogs, they just eat all the marulas. Though David and I did a really good job this year of collecting lots and lots of marulas before the elephants and things got hold of us. Sorry, Craig, I'm going to go back a little bit so you can grab that branch. Now we've just got to get out of here again. There we go. Thanks, Craigie. Right, back we go. I have to oh no, I'm going in the mud wallow now, but I suppose that doesn't matter. Basil, you've said that this is a beautiful tree. It is. It's like one of my favorite ones. Num Num or Carissa bispinosa. I just want to show you something very quickly. I'm going to stop here. The last time Craig tried to battle a tree, you should have seen what happened to him. Craig, should we show everyone your injury on your arm? Yes. Yes, come on. It looks like you were attacked by a lion. He wasn't attacked by a lion. Look at this. He's going to try to show you now. Look at that battle wound. It almost looks like actually a motorbike tire. Oh God, I can't see his arm. We were trying to collect a little bit of firewood, and we found this marula tree that the elephants had pushed over, and also it looked like the termites at one point had got to them as well. So it was quite brittle, and we thought we would use that to try and, as our first log to get the fire going. Once we put all the little bits down, well, he pushed too hard against that tree and it snapped and it bit him. So if people tell you that trees can't bite, they lie. And I've been bitten by them many times, and there's proof right there that they can attack you. And that one didn't even have any thorns, but he's okay. That was very funny actually when that happened. I laughed. We were all so terrible. Hey Craig, whenever somebody trips and falls, we go, oh, are you okay? And then we start laughing. I believe you're all saying, Ouch. Ooh, Craig, that's so bad. All those types of things to describe Craig's wound. Hello, starling. There's a starling up here, which is quite pretty in the light. A little bit more sheltered over here, though. Off it goes. Bye, Birchall starling. I'd like to see fighting francolins today. That's going to be my mission, because I feel as though asking for cats might be a little bit too much, unfortunately. Waving to the birds. Right. I don't know where we're going to go now. This is a tricky one. I think I need to go. I have a feeling that maybe there's a leopard laying in the Mulwati somewhere, so I'm going to check the Mulwati all the way down towards Gowrie, Maine now. I think that's going to be the idea. Very quiet. Very, very quiet out here. Check this quarry. No fruit just yet. There's nothing for me, well, not even just me, Craig. We don't get to have any more snacks on safari now because of the animals. They're just eating everything. It's ridiculous. It's like they need to eat to survive. Of course, when I say that I'm sick of the animals eating all the fruit and stuff like that, I'm only joking, in case you don't know me too well. That could probably come across as, yeah, I could. So I'm only teasing. But it would be nice if the birds would share their fruit with me. You know, apples and bananas and things like that. Don't eat bananas. Do not like bananas at all. So, and that actually seems to be all the fruit we have in camp at the moment is apples and bananas. And I find apples difficult to eat. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but you know, anyway, seeing as though there's no animals. Well, when I eat an apple, I have to cut bits off with a knife. Right. So, and then I don't like bananas. So, no fruit for me at the moment. Oh, there's kiwis in camp. We love kiwis. Anyways, enough about what fruits I prefer. I'm going to send you across to Tristan to see where he's been for the last little while.
And you never know, maybe the cub's there and she's actually back on our side and somebody's just completely cocked this up. Yeah. Which wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, well that didn't take very long. Welcome back to the What Fruit Does Taylor Like and Not Like show. We seem to be on now. Right, so it seems as though Tristan doesn't have communication at the moment. Hopefully that gets sorted out. I'm looking for birds now. The wind hasn't subsided not one little bit just yet. So I think until that happens, it's going to be fairly quiet out here. Not even a footprint of an elephant this afternoon. I've driven all of my favorite good elephant roads. Haven't been any. I'm just going to check the Mulwati again. Like I said, I want to go all the way back down towards Gowrie, Maine, because the last time we did this, we bumped into young Hosana. Just passing through. Maybe we'll get lucky and we will have a repeat of that. So that's what we're hoping for. And then also fighting francolins. I was telling you about that sighting the other day. So that is now my mission, is to get them on camera and actually watch with you and learn. It was very interesting techniques that they were using. Right, under we go. You're right there, Craig? Okay. Just got to push the aerial down. This tree over here, I really want to see the Djuma Pride playing on it. Isn't that a beautiful tree? That would be so great to have the 6 sub-adults playing about. No fruit on this jackalberry. Now, Seahawk, you're wondering if there's any safety precautions against if a rogue lion were to attack the safari vehicles. The chances of that happening are next to nothing, to be honest. And like I said, animals won't just attack you. You just have to, of course, watch the animal's behavior, which is very, very important. see what else we've got here. Right, I'm going to send you back across to Tristan. It seems as though the gremlins are about to attack us.
Not about to, they already have. It just seems as though this week is going to go like this all the time. So, tough week it's been, that's for sure. Now, we are still trying to find Shadow and the cub. We are trying to see if we can't find her here somewhere. And my comms are being an absolute nightmare, so gremlins are overrunning this vehicle and can't hear a single thing that Alice was saying, but it seems like it's all working again. Plugged everything in, made everything sorted, and then now it seems to be working. Alas, it seems Shadow has crossed back and forth into Arethusa, so we're not sure if she's our side or that side. The guys are still busy tracking there, and they said they will keep me posted as if they find her. So hopefully she'll kind of come up and sort of surface around Triple M somewhere and come back towards Djuma. But I think in all likelihood she's probably on Arethusa's side, because the last tracks that they had were going west towards Red Dam, which is an area that we know she likes to frequent fairly regularly. Natalie, you're wondering what animal has the hardest tracks to find. Well, it depends on the type of animal, it depends on substrate, but you know, in terms of the bigger animals, the animals that we track regularly, things like leopard are probably the hardest, just because it's just one of them normally. So they have a small foot. If you think of Shongile, her foot is tiny, it's only about that size, and you then having to track that through grass and all kinds of other things. So leopard is probably the hardest of the bigger animals, but when you start thinking of really tough tracks, things like squirrels, beetles, scorpions, those become a lot harder to actually see. So it's all relative, it depends on what you're talking about, but bigger animals, probably leopard is the hardest in terms of trailing and following and trying to actually find the animal. They generally are the toughest one, and that's why when the trackers do their tests, they will actually test them using a leopard to get their highest qualification. So the guy's got to find a leopard track and then follow it all the way through to get a certain level of tracking. So you get level 1, 2, 3, 4 and senior tracker, and then master tracker from there. And so if they can follow a leopard and track it and trail it and find it, then that's what they get tested on to become master trackers and senior trackers and the sort of higher qualifying levels. When you're first starting, you'll start tracking things like buffalo and elephant and rhinos and those kind of things, because, well, they leave really big prints and a lot of destruction as they go. So that's the kind of way that it goes, and much easier to track them. They're also water dependent animals, so they often go towards water, and you know, there's a lot more signs that they leave behind than something like a leopard. A leopard is really quite tough, particularly because a lot of the time they're in dense, thick vegetation, which means footprints for them are not always visible. And so what you've got to do is you've almost got to think like a leopard and kind of move in the same ways that they would, and try and sort of go from a certain area to another area and hope that their footprints cross an open section within the section that you're working. So particularly when you get off-road and you go away from the roads, then it becomes a lot harder trying to find their tracks and trying to find the actual individual themselves. We're just coming to Treehouse Dam in case it'll Shongile or Shadow, you never know, might have come this way for an afternoon drink. I know that Taylor was here earlier and was checking, but it is later in the afternoon. It's cooled down quite a bit. It seems that the wind is somewhat slowing down a little bit, and that might mean that there might be a leopard around the dam. So that's why we're coming to check, just in case. It's also a nice view from here in the afternoons. Oh, this is an interesting one, Roshni. I'm not 100% sure. You're asking which leopard that we see on safariLIVE do I think I relate to the most? Tough one, I think. I'm not really sure, actually. I mean, I love spending time with Tumba and seem to get lucky with him and Tandi, so that's quite nice. And I like both of them a lot and spend a lot of time with them. So that would be probably the two that I relate to the most. I find Shadow and Cub seem to give me a run around most times, and well, Shongile is also not easy in terms of tracking too. She also seems to make us do lots and lots of loops around before we actually find her. So yeah, I would say Thandi and Tamba, and Mvula. Most of the time that we find Mvula's tracks, we find him too, and I kind of feel like I associate well with him as well. So, but it's a sort of interesting question. I've never really thought about it and never really spent the time to think kind of who exactly that would be. I'm not sure. I wonder what Taylor thinks as to who she relates to the most and who I do as well. It would be quite interesting to know what she thinks. Seb, what do you think?
For you or for me?
For you and me. Let's do both. Because we're getting old, Seb, so maybe Mvula's a good one for both of us.
Yeah,
we both got grey hairs, we're getting old. We're medallas, as they say, exactly. So maybe Mvula's a good one for the two of us. We're not youthful and young like some of the other staff that we have, like Taylor, who's younger than us and could be compared to Shongile. I think Taylor is Shongile as well. That's what I would say. Craig is the cub. I'm pretty sure he's not going to agree with that one little bit at all. Craig being a small girl. But let's try and go across to those two and see what they think, if she's approving of Shongile fitting for her, and well, let's see what Craig thinks about being Shadow's cub.
But Shadow's cub is a girl. Tristan just called you a girl, Craig. That's not very nice, eh? He's shocked. He's actually just started crying now, Craig. He's so upset. He's so taken back by that comment. It's okay, Craig. I'll give you a tissue. I'm just joking, of course. I don't know what leopard I relate to most. I quite like Kuchava. And I like her sassy attitude too. She seems to like to be in front of the camera. Don't we all? So I think I'm going to say, if anything, I could relate to myself as Kuchava. I'll never forget that sighting we had of her as she was boxing with a rock monitor. That was really cool. That was an amazing sighting. I feel like if I was a leopard, I'd probably go and bother rock monitors and water monitors on a regular basis. That's quite nice. And then she seems to try and take on things that are slightly too much for her, and I feel like I do that sometimes as well. Like the day that she thought she'd try and stalk an adult kudu bull. That was very funny. It was the same day actually. She sat on the termite mound. Oh, thank you, Craig. I wasn't concentrating for a second. I was looking on the road. But Craig has spotted birds. I thought there was a snake in a car actually when Craig went or a flat tire. This is getting ready to do a tire changing segment, but here we have a pair of Battalier eagles. We actually see them on the road quite regularly. They must have a nest site around here. There's this pair, and I think it's the same pair that we see on Leadwood Road because that's not too far from here. So this must be their favorite spot, but nice silhouetted against the trees, don't you think? Now as we sit here, I'm also just listening out to hear if we can hear any other birds that are chirping. Babblers, of course. They never stop talking. A couple of doves, but nothing too exciting. Now I think they're getting ready to settle in for the evening. Whether they're going to stay on this perch, I doubt it though. I think they'll find something else. Craig, is it just me or is the wind starting to die down, or are we in a very sheltered spot? It has dropped a little bit. That's amazing. From half an hour ago it was still gusting to now, I mean you can see the trees are evidence. They're not dancing sort of crazily like they were earlier. Everything has settled down, which is quite nice. I mean we'll have a very peaceful sunset. It's actually very hot now without that breeze. Right, let's carry on. I don't know where we're going yet. We're just driving. Let's see what we can find here. A couple of rollers. But I still would like to find elephants more than anything, to be honest. That's what I was really hoping, well, to see. Wouldn't that be nice? A big herd of elephants coming down to drink at a dam, or even just grazing out in the open. Would be very cool. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to turn around. Let's go to Chitwa. Just do a quick loop. We'll go down here, back onto the road. I think let's go check the drainage lines of Chitwa. That will be a good spot. There's normally lots and lots of animals around that area, so we might get lucky and find some. Maybe the hippos will be playing as they were playing yesterday. How rude is that? Craig, are those warthogs that have just popped out in front? We were just there looking at the Battalier eagles, and there was not even a sign of a warthog, and as we've left now, they've come out. And there's an entire family of them. I'm going to just pick up the pace, and then I'm going to go silent. Try and sneak up onto them. I think we've been spotted though. Yep, we've been spotted. They're running across the road now. Bye! Off they go. Now remember that funny episode of Byron when he was talking about warthogs, and I think he kept missing them, and as he turned and looked at camera, it's probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I cried with laughter. My stomach hurt because it was just such a good description of what the animals actually do to us constantly. But Byron's obviously saying, oh, the warthogs were here, but unfortunately they've disappeared. And as he turned back to look at camera, they then ran across his head. But everything was so funny. Maybe if any of you still have that that short clip, you can share it with everybody, and hopefully you'll find it just as funny as I did. If you know anything about going on a safari or from just watching the show, you'll know that it happens far too often out here. Other than those 3 warthogs that sort of very briefly showed their face, I think all the animals are down at Voyatella Dam, feeding in that area where the wildebeest and the impala are. There's not even a herd of impala here. Normally there's always a herd of impala. I haven't seen one steenbok of cheetah cut line. It's another thing. Normally always seeing steenbok and duiker on this area. Perfect habitat for them, of course. Lots of little shrubs, nice tall grass to hide amongst. Looking up at the trees, seeing if there's anything interesting in them, but nothing just yet. Oh, there's some elephant tracks here. Maybe they're going towards the dam. Now, Carolyn, you were wondering what is the name of the bush that the giraffe eat? They eat lots and lots and lots of different types of vegetation. However, the thorny bush that giraffe like to eat, typically the acacia species, so any of the acacias, one of their favorites out here, they eat a lot of knobthorn. Though I have noticed though, I think most times when we've been watching giraffe, they're actually feeding on, love buffalo thorn as well, which is this tree over here, which is also thorny. Remember, giraffe are specialists at feeding on plants that do have thorns, that have a physical defense and also a chemical defense too. That's what the acacias specialize in. But you can see they're able to eat that too. Let's keep going. Wonder what's going to be happening. Of course, I'm going to have to try and see if I can get hold of any of the guards before we go down towards the dam to make sure that there are no guests. We're going to check that there's nobody having a sundowner there. We must be courteous. Well, we try anyways. This is sometimes a good road. Oh, Kogi Franklin's. Oh, that was a big hop and a skip and a jump. I think there's 2 males trying to compete for that female. So the one we're looking at now with the bright orange head, that's the boy. And there's another one just off to the side. You can't see him. Come back out onto the road. Look at the female. This is so cool. Look at this behavior. Isn't that amazing? So I wonder if Franklins form arenas. Sort of like, I'm just looking, there's a whole bunch of them. There's so many males here. So that must be exactly what's happening. All coming to compete for this female. And she looked like she'd chosen her winner, though, the way she kept presenting herself. Let me go forward a little bit, Craig, and then You can get this one. This is another male. We might have a fight here. Let's have a look. Aren't they beautiful though? Such striking colors. No, I've actually never really seen a lot of these birds mating. It's not always a common sight. You'd think it's very common, but unfortunately it's not. Okay, Craig, we're going to have to move. Sorry, I think our Coqui Franklin sighting is going to be cut short. I'm going to just pull off the road slightly and maybe we can get another view of them. There's one calling, just chat. But we unfortunately have got to move. There's a vehicle pushing us off of the road. Right, we'll just stand by for now and then we'll just let them pass. And then hopefully we can... He's now looking at the birds. Right, we're just going to be patient, trying to be patient. Hi. Right, let's go back. There's a big fight going on here with these birds. This is so exciting. Sorry about that. Let's carry on watching this because this is very interesting. All the males are now flying into this corner, all the Coqui Franklin. This is the most exciting thing we've had all day. I could hear them. You can just see one moving. Now, the problem is that they've moved into this long grass, which is not great for us. But listen to the sound. No, Craig. You see the bush willow? I mean, the round leaf teak, the tree, the sort of broken tree to the right of it. Yeah, there was one there. If you go, oh yeah, right here. There's another one. So Craig, if you could, I don't know how quick you can be. There's the females coming here. The females causing all of this havoc at the moment. Let's see. See, she called just now. She was the one that was calling initially. Now the males are responding. There's another one just in front of her. Look there, there's around. There's another female calling behind her. So there's 2 girls here. 3, 4 females. Craig, you don't know where to look. It's too exciting. Oh, don't mate there. Don't do it. Don't. Oh, they're going to mate right in front of my car and you can't see it because I can't move now. Oh, you can't see it at all. Maybe they're going to move in front of my car. They're just here. Now, this is actually really exciting. I need to actually do a bit of research on the breeding habits and if they form arenas and things like that. Normally, you'll just have one female and then lots of males and things coming through. But it seems as though there is more than one female here, and they're instigating. They're the ones starting to call first, trying to attract the boys, and then the males are coming in, trying to compete for the females. That's a boy again. It's a male, like I said, with the orange heads. The females have sort of got not as colourful, but also, even though they seem to be competing with each other, they're also looking for food. They're not going to be wasting any opportunities. And it almost seems like it's so interesting. It's like the girls are coming in looking for the boys. That's very pretty. And we'll stick on this one. There is a male approaching a female now, right next to each other. I'm actually just going to very quickly open my bird app. I want to see if I can find any information, if they sort of discuss it. Like I said, I'm not familiar at all. Where is my bird app? There's a whole lot of them here. There must be about 10 or 15 of them. You can even hear them just moving through the grass. Now I'm just going to search quickly. Franklin. Where is the Coqui Franklin? I'm going to scroll down to be breeding and we'll just all read about it and then I can let you know. Let's see. Actually don't talk about it much at all. Go right up. Right, it seems as though even my app doesn't give very much information. I mean, I have to go back and look at my really big bird book, which I have on my shelf with many of my other books, and see if they go into details about Franklins. But that was just very interesting. The females were very vocal, then the males would respond. You could see that the females were definitely presenting themselves. They were sitting down, lowering their backs towards the ground, almost flattening their bodies. and then there were males and the females were hopping about. That is so cool. Wasn't that amazing? I thought, there they go again. Look at all of them. And this is not even the whole group of them. I'm now wondering, I wonder what the chances are. They write in, if you zoom straight in, Craig, you'll get all of them. There they all are. I wonder if this is, maybe they're not a family, but I don't think that they'd be trying to mate with their youngsters. It's all quite confusing. Very interesting. Mr. Killed, you've said very cute birds. They are indeed. They've one of my favorite. I think I lie. They're my favorite out of the Franklins. Just in terms of their coloration, is quite pretty. No, I don't think that this is family. I definitely think there's something going on here, and it has to do with perhaps the courtship process of the Coqui Franklins. But I will do extensive research on this, because I don't think it's a coincidence that I've now seen crested Franklins, males, fighting with each other. And now we've seen this behavior with a Coqui Franklin. So they must be gearing up, getting ready for the breeding season. That was so fascinating. Never seen anything like that before. And I know it sounds silly because it's not a leopard or a lion, but I very much do enjoy sightings like that. And this is how you learn, is you experience these different things. You can only read so much in a book, but now if I go back and I read about their sort of courtship process, that will make a whole lot more sense. So it'll be something that we can discuss tomorrow morning on the sunrise safari. Just remind me, and then we'll go through it. It's a pity that I don't have an extensive book with me. We could have had a look, but that one has to stay, of course, on my shelf. I can't risk it getting dusty. But anyways, Tristan was also doing a bit of birding, and let's go across to him. I know his flew away, but perhaps he can find another.
Well, it would be nice if we could find another one. That one flew away quite some time ago, and we had Mariko flycatchers. So I don't know if I'm sure some of you will definitely have them on your list, but it might be one for a lot of others that haven't seen them. So I'll try to find them again at some point. And it was beautiful. It was sitting right next to the road in front of us in the late afternoon light. It was very pretty indeed. But it alas has flown. What was quite interesting was that there was quite a big group of them, which is not something that I've seen much of in flycatchers. Generally, flycatchers are either on their own or maybe a pair together, but there was about 5 or 6 of them that were all sitting in this similar kind of place. Not all on the same branch, but they were in the same area and same tree, kind of, well, maybe not the same tree, 2 different trees actually, but on the edge of the road. Now, alas, there's been no sign of any other animal to talk about. Animals all seem to be having a break. No giraffe, no shongile, no shadow and cub, no elephants, no buffalo. So hopefully something will pop out somewhere in front of us. And it sounds very interesting what Taylor's had. I've once seen Franklins in a courtship display and a huge sort of territorial issue. And we came around a corner and the 2 male, surmise was 2 male Franklins that were having a go at each other. Now with Franklins it's quite difficult to tell because in some of them they don't really present, in particularly the crested Franklin, there's no real difference between male and female. And so these 2 were fighting, and what they were doing is they would go up towards each other and there'd be lots of head bobbing and calling, and you'd find then that the 2 of them went up against each other, and they have these big spurs that come off their feet at the back, and there's a big protrusion. It's like a sharp spike almost, and they were trying to actually hook that into one another. And it was amazing the damage that little spur does, because as they were going up and hitting each other, the spur was digging in and feathers were being pulled out, and you could hear that they were actually there'd be a squeak or squawk, should we call it, in a bird, that would happen as soon as that spike hit the other one. So it was obviously doing some sort of damage, and like I say, feathers were strewn all over the place. It was quite something to watch. And I remember I was trying to get photos of it, but I had been photographing a leopard the night before, and I'd forgotten that I was on manual and not on aperture priority on my camera, and so I just completely messed it up with the shutter speed, and so they were all blurry. But it would have been quite cool to actually see them, well, get some of the pictures of it, because it was a really cool sighting to see Franklins fighting. It is a first for me, that was for sure. But isn't this beautiful? In fact, it's actually worth just stopping here for a second. The grass is glowing this gold color. It's very pretty. Oh, James, you're wondering which bird species has the most aggressive mating ritual. Look at how pretty the grass is. You can see it's not blowing nearly as much as it was when we started drive. The grass has kind of simmered down a little bit, and even the breeze itself has got the same gusto it had earlier. James, I'm just trying to think. Mating displays is one thing, but in terms of actual fighting with one another, I've seen, funny enough, a bearded robin. Now, this is a strange one. I'll try and find it in my book so I can show you what they look like. Let's quickly go here. I've seen a bearded robin killing another bearded robin, which was the most unusual thing. There are photos somewhere online if you do want to go and have a look at it, James, and see how it all went. But basically what happened... Where are the robins? There we go. Is that it was in the staff village at Singita, and we were busy sitting around, and we were talking nonsense, and this bearded scrub robin came down. That's not a scrub robin, that's a Cape turtle dove. But our bearded scrub robin is this guy here up at the top. Very pretty little robin. It's got these orange flanks that come down and on the tail area, and these very sort of bright white markings. But this guy came down, and then another one arrived, and they went into this serious fight where they were grabbing at each other, and eventually the one bird managed to pin down the other bird, and with this beak pecked right through its skull and eventually hit the brain and killed it. So it was the most insane thing I've seen. Robins are not generally meat eaters in any way, and they kind of just got into a scrap, and it literally pecked that bird to death and killed it. And it then happened again a bit later where it killed a white-browed scrub robin and then killed another bearded robin, and I think it was the same one. So I don't know if he was just a bit cooked in the brain, as they say, or if there was a bit of a issue there, or if that's how bearded robins actually sort things out. I haven't seen much on it since then, so I'm not 100% sure, but that's kind of was a first for me and a first for a lot of people that we spoke to about it. Now, do we have a little drongo here? Or, no, don't fly away. It was so pretty because it was backlit nicely, but I think it's a drongo. It could also be a flycatcher. We do get the black flycatcher here, and from this distance it's been a little tough to see who's who. No, stop flying. No, it's gone completely now. I thought we maybe get a little view as we came around the corner, but it's flown away. Ah, there's an animal. When was the last time we saw an animal, Seb? A while ago. But there is an impala in front of us that is making its way to Impala Plains. Fancy that. I think there's a reason it gets the name. Funny enough, though, on Impala Plains, I very seldom actually see many animals on it. And I don't know why that is. Generally, you would think that a big open clearing, if you look at quarantine and the number of animals that are on quarantine, that it would be very similar with Impala Plains. But for some reason, the animals don't spend nearly as much time there. You find the grass is quite long, but they don't sort of sit there at night. You don't see them going there during the day, and it's probably because that grass is so long, and it's also a through route for a lot of our predators. You find the Birminghams often crossing there, Shadow and Cub use it a lot, Tingana uses it, so maybe they just bumped into predators so many times that they're a bit nervous of all of it. There goes our big impala ram. So it seems like a little bachelor herd that we've got here. There's 3 or 4 of them scattered about in the bush. Nice. It'll be very nice once they go out onto the plain, because they'll be in that gold light. Geeky Beth, you're wondering how well antelope's here. The answer to that is very well. When you're out here and you're a prey animal, your senses need to be on point, because otherwise you're going to end up being killed many times. Well, not many times, but you will be killed and be dead. So you'll have a situation where their hearing's got to be very good, and particularly in the case of something like a kudu or a nyala that spends their time in thick, dense bush, they have massive ears that are basically like big sort of satellites, and they pick up everything that's going on, and those guys hear much better than they actually see. Things like impalas, wildebeest, zebra, while they might rely more on their eyesight, they still do have excellent hearing, and you'll see that sometimes with the cats moving around. So I've had a situation where Leopard was hunting impalas, and they make one false move, and you'll find the impala's ears just all go and start sort of screeching, and they all start shouting and see that leopard. Now you might hear a little bit of noise coming from the camera side of things, and that's because there seems to be some running repairs that Seb is busy doing with some gaffer tape. So if you do hear some funny noises, that is what that is. There's a little repair job. Now, Seb, don't fall off, because now Seb's standing and busy taping. You sorted yourself out. Do you want me to stop?
No, it's good.
Because I can stop.
Done.
Oh, you're all done. Well done. That was very quick. Of course, the reason why I didn't want to go over this massive bump is because you'll see we go quite high on the back and down. And if Seb is standing, well, it's difficult to stand when going over such large bumps. And so I'd rather stop and make sure that we don't knock Seb off, because that's not going to go well. Seb, have you ever fallen off the back?
No, not yet, eh?
Not yet. Have you ever come close?
I know it will happen one day.
One day. One day when you're not paying attention, somebody's going to hit a bump somewhere. Hopefully it's not me. I'll do my best.
Also, I'm not feeling one day when we're off-roading, I'll have a snake's gonna fall into the car. And
So-
I will jump out of this car.
So Seb is saying that he has a feeling that one day, not only is he going to maybe fall off a car, but that we're going to be off-roading, we're going to go under a tree, and we're going to disturb a snake, and a snake is going to fall on the vehicle, and then he said to me he won't fall out the car, but he will purposefully jump out of it. So hopefully that's not the case, Seb, because I wouldn't really want a black mamba to fall in the car. Luckily, in my years of off-roading, I've honestly never had any situation remotely close to that, and I actually haven't heard of any guides that have. So it's a scary thought, and one that hopefully will not happen to any of us. I'll definitely do my best not to put us in a tree with a snake, because, well, who would want to be in a car with a snake, particularly now that you've knocked it out of the tree? I'm pretty sure it's not going to be too happy with life and with your presence, so hopefully not. The beehive, yes, that was close. Whoopsie. Seb, I'm sorry, I've put you through a lot in the last few months. I do apologize. It's been a rough month for all involved, I think, so far. Don't worry, I got hit by a tree yesterday while trying to get into Tundi. I did, and Craig laughed at me. Beers, you're wondering, has anyone fallen off the back and we've just carried on going as though nothing happened? Well, Beard, not that I know of. I know that what does happen often is in the mornings when it's dark. Let's see if our yellow-billed hornbill will stay where it is there on the tree. It was having a bit of a dust bath, so it would have been nice to have seen them dust bathing. You can see a bit of a scratch. I know in the mornings when we get ready, it's often very dark. And so when the guys put on the light that shines on us as presenters, we can't see a thing behind it, because it's this bright LED light, and you can't even see the camera really. And so often has happened, I know Jamie's done it, Brent's done it, where they've just driven off with no cameraman. So they've gone on drive with no cameraman, and I think it was Jamie once got as far as Philemon's Dip, which is, I would say, about almost a kilometer from the camp, before she realized that there was no cameraman on the back and that she was just talking to blank darkness, which does happen from time to time. So I can't remember who it was that got left behind. I think it was Dave. Dave and Craig both often like to jump off and quickly go grab things at last minute, and then they were there and you think they're there, and then you carry on and, well, they're not there anymore. So I think that's what happened. I think it was Dave that Jamie left behind, but very, very funny, because she kind of went along and then she realized what had happened and had to then come all the way back, and there was, cameraman just sitting, waiting, wondering what has gone on. At least I haven't left you behind, Seb. No. And if somebody did fall off and you didn't notice, it would be a big disaster, and I'm actually not sure how that would be possible, because somebody falling off is not going to go quietly. Also, a cameraman is attached by many cables, so there would be ripping of cables, there'd be falling of headphones, there would be all kinds of crashing and banging behind you, and you'd have to be a pretty cold-hearted human if you just didn't listen to that and just carried on driving, because, well, yes, can you imagine dragging the cameraman behind you by the headphones? That wouldn't be so pleasant at all. Right, enough about bad things to do to cameramen. Let's try and head towards the hyena den before we lose too much light, and hope that they're out and about. And maybe while we're there, little Shongololo will move around and we'll get a alarm call. So I think Alice said, Lilia, you were asking if we can go towards the hyena den, so we shall do just that. That is the plan. I just came along the power lines area in case little Shongololo was around this side hunting, and for those of you who don't know who Shongile is, that we sometimes refer to as Shongololo, she's a young leopard that we get in this area. She's the daughter of the famous Karula, who used to be the queen of Djuma, and, well, still is the queen of Djuma really. She will forever be the queen in this area, but she's disappeared, and so now we have a situation where it's just little Shongile, who is her last daughter, and she's a tiny little leopard forging away. She's not very old at all. She's only about 16 months, and she's had a really tough time of it because she lost her mom at around 13 months old, and so the last 5 months have been, or 4 months have been, trying to sort of get used to being on your own and hunting for yourself, and taking care of yourself is not an easy situation. So that's why she's endeared herself to many, her and her brother Hosanna, because he also has had the same thing happen to him, obviously. And Hosanna took to it like a duck to water. He was killing immediately, and probably because he was a little bulkier and bigger, he was able to overpower large animals. But since then, it seems Shongile has perfected the art of hunting things like duikers, because we've seen her on a couple of those kills, and so she's doing really well and is looking healthy, looking good, and hopefully we'll be able to show all of you that have never seen her before when she comes out on the road. Come on, let's see, maybe we'll be lucky and she just pops out on the road, Seb. This is again back where we were, and it's, as Seb always says, this is leopard time. When that sun just starts to dip down, he always tells me this is the time for a leopard, and so Seb, now's the time. We shall spot her. If we don't come right with the hyena den, Galago Pan is going to be a good option to look for little Shongile. I'm sure she's going to go for water at some point. It's been a hot, dry day, lots of wind, and it certainly has dried all of us out, and I would imagine for a little leopard it would be also, if she hasn't gotten a meal and gotten any sort of blood and moisture from her meal, then she might go towards the pan for a drink. The nice thing about if a leopard drinks at Galago Pan or anywhere around the camp is there's generally a few monkeys around, and they'll go crazy when they see her out in the open drinking, and that will then alert us. And if we're at the hyena den, much like the other morning when we found Mvula and Shongile and Tandi together, the monkeys were the ones that actually started to alert us to what was going on. So, and we heard those from the hyena den, so we're going to try it for a repeat performance from this side. The problem is if she's inside all of this, it's going to be very tough to see her. No. It's very dense here though. If she's here, we're going to struggle. Even if we did find her, to follow her through this would be no easy feat at all. I remember following the Nkuhumas through here the other day, and it was quite something. Poor Craig got a few trees to the head. Now, saying earlier that he was laughing at me yesterday when I got spiked by a tree in the leg. He was, actually, it was the most I've ever seen Craig laugh at somebody. He was almost crying, he was laughing so much, and I don't know what was so funny about it. I certainly wasn't laughing that much, but I had a tree stuck in the back of my neck. I had it in under my armpit and then into my knee, and it had kind of caught my leg and drew a bit of blood, and Craig thought this was hilariously funny because I think maybe it was just after I had told him to duck and I didn't duck myself, and that's what happened. So we'll carry on towards the den. We're almost there, and while we kind of get ourselves in and see what's going on, let's go back to Miss McCurdy, who I think is out of the Mulawati now and therefore should be gremlin free after her voyage to Chitwa Dam.
We are gremlin free. Well, we'll see how long it lasts. Unfortunately, we weren't able to stay at Chitwa Dam as there were some guests who had arrived late this afternoon, so they were having sundowners on the deck. So we very quickly snuck across the dam wall, but we couldn't stay there for very long at all. But how beautiful is the sun this evening. It's already set. We've missed it. I was too busy chatting away, but look at that beautiful color in the sky. And I know you hear it from us all the time, and we always stop and look at the sunsets and sunrises, but can you really get enough of it? I don't think so. Especially when it's between two trees. I think it's quite pretty. Lots of birds starting to do their final calls. Now, I have a game. We're going to play What Bird Is That? But now we have to play What Bird Is That because I took a photo of it and it's a silhouette. You have to tell me what bird this is. You can hashtag safariLIVE with who you think that silhouette is of. Isn't that beautiful? It's an easy one. I'm just checking to make sure that you are all still watching. So give it a bash. You know, for those of you who have been watching the show for quite some time, you'll find that bird very easy to identify because there's almost nothing that looks like it out here. But for the newbies, our new viewers, can we call you newbies? Nah, because you'll become safari experts soon. It'll be a nice one. And hopefully we get to see one maybe in the up and coming days. We'll try and look for one, and then yes, then we can talk a little bit more about it. But they're lovely birds. I now don't have a plan because I was hoping to spend a bit of time at Chitwa Dam. But guests first, as always, it's good. So I think we might just do a little bit of a boundary patrol then. Perhaps we'll go all the way along Gari Main and then we'll go into Triple M. I know it sounded like those lions crossed back into the property this morning and then they crossed west again. So they seem to be doing exactly the same thing. So we'll go down there and just have a look. So I believe lots of people, as per Alice, are you all saying hammerkop. That is indeed correct. That is the hammerhead bird. They're lovely birds. And Craig and I were sharing some stories. Craig was telling me a story of how he would have to fish the frogs out with the pool scoop of his pool. And he said sometimes he didn't even need to do it because the hammerkop would do it for him. And I had some most amazing sightings of them in the Eastern Cape. I was saying that there's some massive river systems, but they always wash the crossings away. So to try and alleviate some of the pressure, they'd use these big concrete pipes and then build them into the road so it would still allow the water to pass through. And the hammerkops were so clever, they'd stand at the edge of it when the water was gushing through and wait for the little fish to pop out, and they'd snatch them up like that. So that created some amazing sightings and right up close and personal next to the car. Tristan has managed to safely navigate into the hyena den, and it seems as though he's got some form of surprise.
Well, we've got little Intima that's come and seen and said hello. And first we got you, we thought there was nothing to be seen, but they were around the back. And now Intima's come to investigate. When she heard the car, she came round. And our little one is right at the top of the mound and king of the castle. See it there? Just hiding in amongst the thicket. How cute is that? That is as cute as it gets, I can tell you. You can see Intima's making her way up that way. Hopefully they're going to have a bit of a game. Maybe now that we've just arrived, there will be a bit of sort of interaction and a bit of waking up. I think they're hoping that maybe the adults are back. I don't see any of the adults at this stage. I think that these two have been playing around on the top of the mound, and that's why we didn't see them when they were around the back. And Intima is very, very curious. She kind of came around the mound, came and checked us out for a little bit, and then now back onto this area and back to chewing on some sticks. And I believe a lot of you are very excited to see the hyenas. It's always good to see them. Now hopefully the mothers will come back, because we don't like to spend time at the den without the mothers. It means that, or an adult of some sort, just in case something arrives and follows us towards this area and then causes a bit of an issue for the little ones. So that's why we don't spend too much time without the adults. Now, Alison, you say Intima is so cute. She is very cute. She seems to be, by the day, becoming more bold with us, and she's been chewing on the tires recently and seems to always come and kind of have a look and see what's going on. The little one, not so much, is still a bit unsure of this big hunk of metal, that kind of chunk, sorry, not hunk, I don't know why I said that, big chunk of metal that comes around and kind of moves and goes into this area. So it's curled itself up on the top. Have you been playing today? Is that why you're tired? Is that not the tired face of a... Oh no, it's all too much. Saturday afternoon nap before the big night out. There we go. And you can see the little spots just starting to show through now. And it's trying to have a nap, but Indima's crunching down on what appears to be a stick or a bone. I can't see nicely what it is, and that's keeping her awake a little bit. Is that a bone or a stick, Seb? I can't see. It looks like a stick. I don't think that is a bone, just given the shape of it. You can see it's almost a hollowed out section. Now, April, you were wondering what they are chewing on, so I'm not 100% sure. It might actually be a bone. It's got a bit of a white edge to it, but I don't think so. It doesn't look bone-like, does it? Maybe it is.
Its paw, if you look under its right paw. It does look a little bit like
Yeah, maybe under the right paw is the other section of it. It could be a bone. I would be surprised if it was a stick and was being chewed with such relish. It's, sticks, they'll chew them for a little bit and then leave them, but it looks like it's actually consuming whatever that is, so I'd imagine it must be a bone. Now that it's turned, we'll probably get a bit of a better view of what it is. But you can see, even at this age, those jaws are incredibly powerful. And I think it is a bone. You see how clever she is already? She already knows how to use her foot to pin that bone down to then be able to crunch down on it. There we go. Don't get that stuck in your throat now. I have seen that with hyenas too. They're such gluttons that sometimes they do this. And there it goes. The whole thing down. No, it's coming back again. And like I say, this is what happens sometimes, is that they crunch them down and swallow them, and then it gets stuck a little bit, and then they have to actually get sick to get it out. There you go. See? Just like that. There it comes back up again. You have to break it down more. There we go. You can't swallow all of that. It's too big. No, it's not going down. This is there. Did you get it down?
wow.
Well done. Now you can imagine the constitution of that stomach to be able to try and actually digest that, what has just been swallowed. I mean, that was a whole chunk. No, it's back out again. Look. Or is that a different piece
No, I
now?
think it's-
Must be a different piece of bone, but to swallow such a big chunk, you're a little glutton, Djuma. You must be careful that that doesn't get stuck in your throat and cause some damage. But like I said, it's amazing to me that they're actually they're able to digest that and process that bone as big as shard as that all the way through, and that doesn't affect their stomach or their intestines in any way. And we know that bones are generally quite sharp, so you can imagine how uncomfortable it must be once it goes down. So, hyenas are another story. Yes, we're talking about you. That's the little face of innocence, isn't it? Except that they're not so innocent, these guys. They're quite naughty. Shame the little one is just curled up on top. He's really kind of, I think, envious in a way that Djuma's getting something to chew on. That little one is nowhere near ready to be breaking down bones of that size. In fact, it won't have the jaw power yet to even crunch through that. You'll find that it'll go pick it up and play with it a little bit, just out of curiosity and from watching Djuma going through it, but it's definitely not big enough to crunch down on bones and will still be very reliant on milk. Isn't that nice with the colours in the background as well? This den is spectacular. It's one of the most beautiful places to spend time. The angle of the sun in the morning and the afternoon is pretty good, so it's a nice scenic den. A bit more so than the den of Philemon's Cutline, I think. What do you think, Seb?
No, I agree. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So, John, I don't know if I got this correct. You asking about hyenas, what they're related to. I didn't get the most of it because, well, yes, comms are being a pain today. Bears. So, no, they're not related to bears in any way. The hyenas are in their own family altogether. They are part of the Hyenidae family. There is no relation to bears. They're not related to dogs. They, in fact, probably the closest relation that they can come to is cats, funny enough, which is really quite strange. And that's why their young are referred to as cubs and not pups. But they're in their own family altogether. Hyenidae is just a completely separate grouping. But isn't this little one cute? Even the grass is too much. Are you coming to say hello? Yes, here we go. Mischief is on its way. Mischief 1 and 2. Okay, here we go. Here comes Naughty. Are you going to... You're not allowed to chew the tires. We've spoken about this before. Yes, you know not to come chew tires. Don't be naughty. So take care. You're asking, why do they tend to chew the tires? Is there any other animal that does this? Well, I've seen the wild dogs do it from time to time, but I think it's just the curious nature of hyenas. They just like to kind of come and see what's going on, and then they bite the tire, and the tire is fairly soft, and it's like a puppy. When it's got a chew toy, if the softer it is, the more they like to bite down on it, particularly when they're teething. Remember, a lot of these hyenas are younger, and they tend to teeth when we're around, and so they come and bite the tire, and it just helps to ease with the teething process. Are you also becoming curious? Oh, lost our nerve a little bit. No, not sure about this thing. We have to wait until the older sibling in Djuma comes in to be able to be sure of what's going on. Is that not the cutest little thing? Yes, you are so cute. I wonder what's going through its mind. Hyena dens have got to be probably one of my favorite things as a guide. In all the years, and the reason why I say it is because generally hyenas have such a bad reputation, and people come with this sort of preconceived idea of what a hyena is, what it does, that it's a nasty, dirty, horrible animal, and dens always help to dispel a lot of those myths and to show the softer side of hyenas and really endear them to people. And so a den for me is one of the best places to bring people and to change this sort of misconception about them and the way that they actually move around and what they actually do, because everyone always thinks that they're these killing machines that kill everything and are disgusting and have a bad sort of feeling about them, and actually that's not the case at all. Hyenas are incredibly intelligent animals, socially are highly sort of developed. They're also animals that are very caring for one another, and the den sites themselves show that softer side. And who can't think that that little one over there, and even in Djuma, are not the cutest little things ever? And the thing about hyenas, the other side of a den, is that it's generally quite interactive, and I say interactive and in a way that they come and they sort of look at the vehicles and they almost scan everybody, and they go become part of the experience a lot more than something like a lion or a leopard just that completely ignores us. Hyenas generally take quite a lot of interest in what we do, and so it's a lot more engaging for people when they come on a safari to see hyenas like this, and why that den is very, very important. Oh, be nice. Now it is starting to get quite dark, so I don't want to be here at night without the adults. I'm gonna why are you being biting? No, don't bite it. Unfortunately, when you're a sibling and you're younger, you're going to get bullied. That's just part and parcel of life, particularly when there's only the two of them. So this Djuma is going to bully this little one quite a bit. It's just unfortunately how things work. It's not ideal, but Djuma will learn in time, and she'll get sort of over it when she gets older, and the little one, once it gets stronger, will be able to help sort of fight back and be able to push back a little bit. So, Francis from Israel, you're wondering if the older cubs are protective of the younger ones. No, not really. You'll find a situation with the older cubs is that they will be just as scared as that little one and probably try and run into the den as fast as possible to seek shelter, much like the little one would do as well. So they're not actually very protective of those little ones. However, once they make a noise, the adults will come flying here and will really try to push them out and try to make sure that whatever's threatening their cubs is taken care of. So the adults hear what's going on and they come in very quickly to sort things out. So you'll have a situation where the cubs not so much, they don't really look after one another, but adults definitely would. What are you doing? Have you decided that's where you're going to nap now, in the grass? You can see just how little that is. And the length of the grass is far taller than what it is. Must be such an interesting world. Now, John, you were saying you wonder what they think when they see humans, and I'm not sure. It must be interesting. They're very intelligent animals, and they're able to work out what's going on. So I'm not 100% sure what they kind of feel and how they actually see us, but at the end of the day, I think the vehicle is something intriguing. They're curious animals. They like to investigate, and the only way they can do that is with their mouth. So a lot of the time they sit and they're just analyzing, just checking where they can come and bite down and see and test out what this object is and whether or not it's something that they need to be nervous of. Now, Paula, you're wondering how old are they when they get their spots? Well, you can see this little one is getting its spots already, and this little one cannot be more than 3 months old. So they start to get their spots. It's a little bit different for each one, and we saw when Djuma had a sibling that the one was far more spotty than the other to start with. So you'll find that they get their spots at different times, but generally around 3 months we start to see the first spots around the neck area, and by the time it's 6 months, which is in Djuma, you can see that they're pretty much spotty all over, and that their legs themselves are starting to get spotted and lose that darkness as well. So that little one, you see the little spots on the neck? There we go. Starting. You're quite brave, little one, for such a small... It's very cute, this, and very timid. I'm not sure it knows what to do. I think it wants the parents to come home so it can have a good suckle before it goes to bed for the night. Remember that these hyenas will be put into their den. When mom comes back, she'll chase them back in and make sure at night that they stay in there. And these little hyenas also know that at night it's better for them to be in rather than out, because lots of predators are around. And that little one is a snack for even something like an owl. So you can't spend too much time. Owls would come in and even potentially take them. And during the day, they actually have to worry about quite a few bird predators as well. I know wild dog puppies often get taken by martial eagles, and the same would be with hyena young as well. You've still got very bandy legs. Long legs for a little one. See, look, it's actually scent marking. Well, it's trying to. It's not got it down right yet, but they have a little gland underneath their eye that they can rub up on grass, and it's almost trying to do that. You haven't got it quite right, little one. And you'll find a situation where these guys will also do what's called pasting. Now that's pretty much how hyenas mark most of the time, is they've got a little gland that sits underneath the anus that produces a paste, and they'll walk up to a grass and they'll kind of just paste on it, and that will leave a scent for all the other hyenas that come past. You're still very wobbly. Now, Aaron, you're asking why the spotted hyena is in a separate genus to the brown and the stripes. Aaron, I'm actually not 100% sure. It's not something that I've actually thought about too much, and it's probably I should pay more attention to it. I'm not 100% sure at all. I'll have to try and research and to see why. It might be something to do with their sort of clan structure. You'll find that the striped and the brown hyena are very seldom in big groupings like the spotted hyena. They don't form these massive social groups. They tend to be loners a lot of the time, or in a pair when they're mating, but very seldom will you see them in big clans of 50, 60 of them like you see with the spotted hyenas. So it might be something to do with that, but I don't actually know for sure. I wonder if maybe it's... Be nice to it, Djuma. There we go. How's that? Little rub up just to make sure you say hello. They are very cute. So, Kristen, you're wondering if the cubs will treat each other in order of the status of their mother in the clan. Most definitely. So you'll find the reason why is because they get stronger if they are higher ranking cubs from a higher ranking female. They get first access to food, which means that they generally get bulkier and stronger and bigger, and therefore can dominate the others. And that's why there is this situation where they will push them around, and it will almost be a situation where the lower ranking cubs get dominated early on in life, and they learn it very quickly. The other side of it is often with low ranking females is that they'll actually even den away from the high ranking females. They'll use a separate den site, have their young ones away to stop that bullying that happens by those cubs from the higher ranking females. You can see this little one, even though it's just play, there will definitely be a situation where Djuma will dominate her. That's just from a size point of view. Even if she was a higher ranking individual, Ntima would still dominate that little one because of size. But if Mom is here, and let's say Ntima is on from a lower ranking female than the tiny one, then Mom would discipline Ntima quite quickly and make sure that she knows that she mustn't mess around with that cub. Isn't it sweet to have the two of them? As I was saying just now, though, we are going to have to leave here because we can't stay here in the dark without the mothers and leave them sort of out and about because, well, if anything sees us or hears us and comes to investigate, it would hate to be the cause of these little guys getting hurt or injured. So we're probably going to leave them shortly and let them carry on their evening. I don't see any sign of the adults. I'll do a quick scan around with the light on our left. It's starting to get quite dark, and see if there's not any sign of Ribbon or any of the others. And while we do that, let's go across to Taylor, who's got her own light out and is looking for any signs of animals.
I got my flashlight in my hand and we're scanning around. Doo-doo-doo. Craig's not, he's got the camera, he's just panning around with the camera. I don't know what we're hoping to find this evening in terms of critters of the night. We are just doing a quick boundary patrol to see if the Nkuhuma lions have come back in crossing Triple M, but no luck just yet, which is a little bit sad. Maybe tomorrow morning. Chameleon wise, it would be fantastic if we could find a chameleon. I'd really like to see one, so I'm searching. And a white-tailed mongoose. Craig, what night animals would you like to see? Maybe a honey badger, says Craig. We'll see if we can find you a maybe honey badger. And I'd like to see maybe an owl too. That would be quite nice. Actually, we saw a barred owlet when we were at passing Chitwa Dam, but we didn't have any signals right in the dip where the Hammerkorp was sitting. It was so cute. It was actually sitting quite close to the road. It was really nice. So I did get to see an owl already, but it doesn't count because if you didn't see it, then did it really exist? It did, but I think it's unfair. Now there's a couple of trees here which are good spots for chameleons. We might get lucky. And I see cars. Is it safari lights? Are there lions? No. It's just a civilian vehicle. I better turn all my bright lights off not to scare them or blind them. Oh my goodness, we're going to eat dust, Craig. I think I'm going to turn us like this so we don't have to eat the dust. We're going to look away just very quickly because, as you can see, with there not being a breath of wind now because it's completely calmed down, obviously all the dust kicks up quite a bit and it goes into the camera, it goes into my face. It's not particularly nice. So we need to just wait for it to settle a little bit before we carry on. That was one thing that you can't help well, there's many things that you can't help when you're out on safari, but I'll never forget some of the biggest complaints I ever got as a guide was, it's so dusty. That was a bad South African accent, by the way. And I mean, there's absolutely nothing you can do. You just got to try and sit and wait it out. But sometimes, like I was saying, when there's no wind at all, the dust will sit on the road for 10 or 15 minutes. And you can't sit for 10 or 15 minutes to wait for the dust to settle. You just go. And I was like, well, you're on safari. You're probably going to get a little bit dirty anyway. You know, don't let the dust worry you. I always found that funny, and I could never quite understand it. Right. Unfortunately, we're coming to the gate now. That means our road is going to end because we're going to hit the fence line, and I still haven't almost got excited and shouted lions. It's not lions. There were two impala that just walked across the road, and as I thought it would have been perfect. Imagine me saying, we're not going to see them, blah blah blah, and then the next minute there they're crossing the road in an ideal world. But unfortunately not tonight. Some very big impala rams running around. Be safe, gentlemen. Keep your wits about you. Let's go up Voyatella Access. Maybe we find that civet that seems to be quite relaxed. We haven't seen it for quite some time now. I haven't had a sighting of it. Maybe Tristan's bumped into it along the way. Could be quite nice. No, it's not a chameleon. Or some bats. But bats are very difficult to, of course, try and get on the screen. It's easier if you've got more than one just flying around. Just scan here. Maybe bush babies bouncing from tree to tree. That would be a good one. What's that? Is it an antelope? My eyes are going really bad. That's a bit concerning. It's probably not even anything. No, I think it's actually, I've just made it up. I've imagined a lion marking its territory up against a guarri tree. It was a shrub, but a very lion-like shrub. Many of those out here, we always tell our favorite stories about the animals that look like all sorts of other things. Like, remember we had the buffalo, the buffalo log, and I was convinced that it was a buffalo too. Got so excited. But that night I think I may have had a little bit too much sugar though. Still no chameleon, not even one. Usually when I say that, then one pops up. So chameleon spotting is actually quite easy. It's not particularly difficult to do, but you have to keep your eyes on where your spotlight is going. That's the most important thing, is that you won't be, even if you're doing this with your spotlight and you're looking like this, you won't find a chameleon. I wish though, I wish I had another pair of eyes, or I actually wish I was a chameleon, and then I could look at you with one and then the other eye could be spotting. That'd be great. It's a good idea. Craig, would you like chameleon eyes? I think it'd be quite cool. Oh, lion. Oh my gosh, hello. That is what happens when you're too busy looking back at the camera. Can you believe that? And I'm just talking about, maybe I did see it, Craig, down the road. And that's what I was looking at. Alice, are we still live? I'm in shock. Oh my goodness. Hang on, I have to call this in. I have to call Aubrey because they're desperately looking for cats. So how crazy is that? I think that's exactly what I saw. I thought I imagined this lion. Like I said to you, no, I've got to use two hands. Well, it's one of the Birmingham boys. Right, I need to jump on the radio. One Dodengala, Vuyatela access, approaching Gari Gate. One on lock. How crazy is that? I said that I thought I saw, and then I was telling you about how if you want to spot animals, spot chameleons, you've got to look at the camera, and here's me talking away, and Craig's going, lion, Taylor, lion, and I didn't even realize that there was a lion 5 meters from me. So it just shows you how crazy is that. Craigie, should we do my normal maneuver? Let's go in front. Hold on, Craig. That was a termite mine. That's affirmative. You're welcome to make your approach. Just come straight for your tele access. I'm going to go radio down now. I'm just trying to get in front of him quickly. Hold on, Craig, again. Sorry, there's lots of... I think the warthogs have been in here. We have to do our sneaky maneuver where we get in front of him and then we reverse. So we look at him. Wait. Oh, be a hole, please. Okay, I think we've got enough room now to do it. Sorry, Craig. Yeah, you're right. You're still on. Didn't drop you. Okay, here we go. Now we need to figure out who we've got. That's crazy. And I'm actually gonna... Woo! Linda, you said that cat today is saved. It is indeed. How lucky are we? I'm gonna... Who is this lion? He's very beautiful. I wonder if it's not Mfumo. He's going to mark now, like, up against the tree. That is unbelievable. I cannot believe... See, I need to trust myself sometimes. And when I think that I imagine objects in the very far distance, I must go to myself, Taylor, maybe it is. I need to give myself more credit sometimes. I'm so good at spotting things. Okay, right, now he's going through a very thick block. I need to just quickly also update on the radio. This Madoda Ngala has now changed direction. He's going north. He's cutting through the block from Vuyatela access, sort of back towards the warden's houses, towards Sydney's Dam. I'm going to try and stick with him through the block, but it's very thick. let's carry on. Let's try go around. I don't know if I'm going to be able to navigate through that block. I think, can anybody help me? I'm so flustered that a lion was giving me a death stare because I didn't realize that he was even right next to the car. I think it is it not Nana? Ladybug and Daisy think it's Tinyo. I don't know. I actually haven't had a proper look. I'm too distracted. I'm trying to find a way in here now. What a nightmare this block is. We're going to definitely break the car if we try and go through here. I'm going to have to try and stick on. There's a beautiful big game pathway here, so we're going to have to use these networks, these road networks that the animals have created. So please bear with me. I apologize if it feels as though I'm not paying you attention. I just don't want to end up stranded. Connor's not here to come and be the rescuer. He was coming this way. I think he's going straight towards Sydney's dam. Craig, can you believe our luck tonight? That's so funny. It's amazing how things like this happen. I'm going to try and guess where he's going to come out because I can't actually see anything. No, we'll have to have a look. I honestly, like I said, I was too flabbergasted by this whole thing to honestly even try and figure out which lion it is. It did have a little cut underneath his eye, and that looks like exactly the same thing that we saw the other day. There he is. Oh, Taylor, you biscuit. If today was going to be the day that I was going to be on form, thank goodness. Whew. Okay, he's just going through there again. You can just see him moving. Oh, that's so funny. So a couple of you are saying that you've never seen me so flustered before, and Craig was so calm. That is funny, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Craig, hold on. Oh no, that's not gonna work. Now I'm stuck. Alice, I'm stuck. Well, we can look at the lion. We will get unstuck, but we're gonna have to do a bit of maneuvering. There he goes. He's walking through the bush. He's going straight to Sydney's dam by the looks of it. This is why I didn't want to come in yet, because I knew I was going to get myself into this situation. But he's about to disappear. Alice, I'm going to have to ask, can we go to Tristan, please? So I can try and get myself out of this situation while this lion disappears. Fortunately, I'm not going to be able to do it live this time. I might even have to engage diff lock now. Alice, can you hear me? Right, I'm going to send you across to Tristan now. Apparently he's racing off to a leopard, so let's go and see if he's managed to find it.
Well, I'm not racing off to a leopard because I can't find it, so nobody knows where it is. Herbie said he spotted it on his way in, but we can't see any sign of it from where he said, so just trying to get hold of Herbie to try and find out where exactly this leopard could be. But he said it was on Weirtella access close to Albury's apparently, but I can't see anything. I've come all the way along past Albury's now. There's some impalas here, but no sign. I'm going to turn around and go back. Maybe I missed her and just check around there. Lots of impalas, so maybe she's coming towards this area. So as you can see, Seb is helping me with his spotlight, so we've got 2 spotlights. Now, Herbie's on the radio, so I just want to talk to him quickly.
Kudu's here, so...
Herbie. Herbie, whereabouts did you see this ingwe? So just trying to find out from Herbie exactly where. Okay, so it sounds like it went northeast into the monkey orange thickets, which is not ideal, but I'll try. Okay, thank you, Herbie. So Herbie said he saw it just now. He's not here anymore because I raced here as quick as I could to get to where we are, but I'm not sure we're going to manage to find this leopard. I hope we will, but I don't know, and I don't know who it is either, which is the other part. So from here, apparently it went northeast into this stuff. So let's go a little bit forward here. Seems like it's going to be a day of tormented by leopards. So I don't know if it's Shongile, I don't know who it could be that's here, but I don't see any sign of a leopard walking in this area. You know what? Let's try and just see if we go in here a little bit. Maybe we'll get lucky. Well, at least Taylor has had some luck this afternoon. We've been pretty luckless. And let's go quickly across to her while she's still with that beautiful lion.
Are we? This? But is it? But where's the patch of his shoulder? Is it not him? No, maybe it is. Now he's got a patch underneath his stomach. I can't remember. I was trying to find the patch of skin that he's missing off of his shoulder, on his right shoulder, and I didn't see that. Is it you? And he looked so much bigger the other day too. Let's just stop. Let me just go this way, side of him. He's heard something. Maybe it is Tinyo. I can't see now. Now I'm doubting myself. No, maybe it is. What have you heard, young man? He's listening very carefully. Perhaps there's another lion roaring in the distance. Is that a half moon shape cut off of his ear? Oh, there's something in here. I think there's birds in here though. What have you seen? Maybe it is Tinyo. I can't tell now. Because when I was on the other side of him, on his right side, I couldn't see that patch of skin that you can see, where the hair is rubbed away. Oh well, we'll figure it out later. Peyton Payne, you said you think it is Tinyo. It's amazing how he's just changed completely from when we saw him the other day. Maybe it's because as well, he had so full. He had, if you remember, he had an entire belly filled of zebra. So that's probably why. That also made him look enormous. At one point when I first saw that lion the other morning, I thought it was in the timber. From the distance, he looked absolutely massive, and I'm glad I managed to get unstuck off of that log too. Now he's crossing out. He's going straight towards Sydney's dam. We're going to watch him go. The little gap that opens up here. Hey, Craigie, he should walk. He's looking good though. He's looking a little bit on the lean side. So perhaps he's maybe looking for something to eat. That's a possibility, and it'll be a good thing to, of course, go towards the dam. I'll try and update the guides now. Oh, you want to go infrared? No problem. We're going infrared now. We're going to go black and white. Here we go. That's quite nice. But sadly, we're going to lose him as he disappears. But we'll just watch him go. So thank you for all your help, of course, with IDing him. He just looks so different. I can't believe it from what he looked like the other day. Madonna and Gala is now mobile on that big animal pathway just slightly east of the Warden's Kaya towards Sydney's dam. I'm going to leave it at an open lock now, but he's going straight towards the dam. Just updating, of course, the guards. Off he goes, marking again. Doing a bit of a territorial patrol as he goes along and he disappears into the darkness. How cool was that? Wasn't that fantastic? Whew. Last minute lion. Last minute lion. Now I need to try and see what... No, that light doesn't work. That doesn't help me if I want to reverse, does it? Cool. That is amazing. Now, I'm not even going to try and turn around because it's going to end up being a disaster. There's not really a clear spot for me, unfortunately, to have a look. But how great was that? So my eyes are not as bad as what I think they are in terms of spotting things in the very far distance. What I saw was very far away too. I got such a fright as well when Craig was going lion, lion so casually, and he was just standing next to me, walking next to the road, probably going, she's going way too fast. Why is she not slowing down? Can she not see that I'm here? No, sorry, Mr. Tino, but thank you for popping in. Hopefully the Nkohumas will be back in the morning, and we'll have them on a kill of some sort. That will be the ideal situation. Maybe some spots as well. Maybe Tristan manages to find this leopard that's given us the slip. Hopefully it hangs around. But it has been a wonderful afternoon. A bit slow to start off with a gusting wind, but a few cool bird sightings. And we'll do a bit of research as well on the Koki Franklins. But from all of us here, big thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Sunrise Safari.